You don't gotta fight alone. Don't be so personal. Take me out of the I'm going under. Take me out of the I'm going under. All we love, all we done is just sit around wasting our time. Take me out of the rut. I'm going under. Wasting our time. I'm going under. Everyone's seen death in their dreams, but we still wake up and go to sleep. Everyone's seen death in their dreams, but we still wake up from our sleep. I'll be home soon. You don't gotta fight alone. You don't gotta fight alone. You don't gotta fight alone. Don't be so personal. Take me out of the I'm going under. Take me out of the I'm going under. Who do you rely on now? I know the worst. I know the worst. Who can you call on now? I know the worst. I know the worst.
Rising with each beat of the music is bringing real flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in. Welcome, my heart's so full. I'm devoting myself to the night. There's no motive. We're just listening. We're existing. We stay where the music plays, where the lights drop below, where the people sway.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Titans of Tier 3. We are here. It's a league match. It's the finale day of Week 1. I'm here, Ancient Angel. I'm your play-by-play caster of the day. I'm with my lovely co-caster, as always, Sleepy Boy 10. Sleepy, how are you doing this fine Wednesday evening?
I am incredibly excited to be able to watch this wonderful competition. I, of course, was casting yesterday and saw a very exciting match, and it's just proving that each day there's more and more exciting matches. So I'm very excited. I know that these are two very powerful teams in Cataclysm and Comet Esports, I've had the pleasure of seeing Cataclysm play a few different times in Knights Monthly Gauntlet and such. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing these two teams face off against one another.
Well, you said it better than I ever could, so we're immediately skipping over any sort of map picks and bans. We're jumping straight into map 1 and the agent select here. We're here on Split, and I've been told that I'm a Split enjoyer. Do you fancy yourself a game of Split? Are you a Split enjoyer as well, Sleepy?
I do think at times I enjoy playing on it, and at times I enjoy casting it. But I do think a lot of the time, especially when you're on that offensive side, you just find yourself up against a wall a lot of the time, trying to figure out how you want to approach mid, and then going into one of the sites. I think I've seen very few teams not struggle at least a little bit in a match on Split, trying to figure that out how they want to approach their offense, just because on the defense there's so many choke points that you can take pretty easy advantage of.
Yeah,
The
I agree. Something I just want to comment on very quickly is Comet Esports. There was originally an ISO held. I got concerned for a second. It seems that Helpzera is opting for a Sky instead. You think that's the right call?
I mean, yeah, I don't know about an ISO as a sort of support initiator role, right? Because you're already gonna have that raise for sure. So, having an ISO would definitely, I think, inhibit your ability to make effective plays that you might be able to do with your initiator. And I do think some of ISO's util is it's a lot self-centered and isn't as team-oriented. You can't clear space very quickly. It's just a bit of a chaotic agent, so that's why you don't see very many people picking picking out ISO, but it should be an interesting match no matter what, as we do have, of course, the mirror composition, which I'm not entirely surprised about with double controller on both sides, and then you've of course got rays on both sides as well. And I think when I'm looking at this composition, I haven't seen too many other variations that I would disagree with. Coming into this composition, would I disagree with it? Probably not, just because I think one thing that's interesting is I usually see, or I've seen in the past, a lot of people end up pulling out the Astra, so that doesn't end up coming out here. Instead favoring that Viper Omen. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how these teams make this composition work. But considering both of them are gonna have to do it, I'm not anticipating anything too crazy happening.
Nothing too crazy indeed. I think now we're just coming into this pistol round. This is Comet Esports map pick. They're starting on the defense side. But it's going to be on Cataclysm to really try and throw this attack side to the win. Try and get them as many advantages as possible. And we immediately see Rezek and Co. immediately running towards this heaven area. There's that Trailblazer coming out now. Jumping around, trying to clear out as many angles as possible. But that A site, that's completely clear. It seems that Comet, they've given it up completely for the retake.
Out. Spike planted.
Those look like sort of a first plan approaching, making sure nobody's going to be coming from ramp towards that main entrance.
Ooh, Sakusa immediately starting off the frag fest, starting off this retake well with a kill. That paint shell is going to force out Rezek. Neptune forces Grimmar to push out. Nine's able to respond with one, but helps Zera and Poker Face keep this retake alive. It's 2 kills on the round for Help Zera as he cleans up 9, and that gives Comet Esports the defender side pistol.
Yeah, I think they sort of did everything right there as far as setting up that retake. After sort of allowing that spike to go down, I think they approached sort of that collapse in that you see a lot of teams go for, where you're sending everyone through as many entrances as you can. And even though there was a bit of a post plant setup maybe geared towards potentially protecting that ramp area, you did see Cataclysm end up backing out of that, and they were punished for that as well. So generally looking pretty solid from Comet Esports to start it off, and now of course they're going to be able to go into an anti-eco where they're going to have a pretty good gun advantage.
You got that nice gun advantage, and it seems that this time they want to look at their efforts on the other side of the map, see what they can make of this B site, and you can see Rezek with full utility at his disposal. just at a moment's notice ready to just pop flash out.
Poison's off.
And you can see that kind of lurch pressure on the other side of the map towards sewers. That's gonna really try and help them, you know, make sure that they can rotate in this mid-round. Couple bullets were traded.
Almost like a bit of an anchor, right, to keep you from drifting away. Now you have an option as far as getting away from
Shadows traveling.
hit site if you don't get as much info as you were hoping for.
Very important, but Grimmar taking that shot in towards tower. It forces away, helps Zera for now. Pokerface still here. Neptune on the site, though, able to find two. It's a 3v5. Bang TK, hold on. He's able to find one with that Sheriff, so at the very least, it's one gun lost. Saksa goes down to Rezek in tower. A 1v3 required. Myaru able to find another hit as well. Surfer. It's actually helped Zera, who's going to get it. Surfer is just throwing the one-way for fun.
Yeah, and I sort of talked about the choke points coming into the map, and you saw that sort of play out where initially you see them testing in towards that B garage, getting sort of shut down. So then they, you know, right, they had that lurk towards sewers, so they sort of group up and send a few players through mid as well. But at the end of the day, both garage and mid can be some of those choke points, and when, you know, your whole team is on Sheriffs against a team with Bulldogs and Spectres and such, you're not going to have the easiest time pushing through either of those entrances, even if you don't have all your eggs in one basket. So they did encounter a bit of pushback in that regard.
Well, now we're here on this bonus round. Comet Esports still looking to try and get as much on the board as possible. Myaru and Grimmar, though. Oh my goodness. What a spray transfer by Grimmar. Able to find 2 kills there. Turn numbers firmly in their favor despite the opening pick of the round going Comet Esports' way. That walk down mid, it did not actually help them at all for CEC.
Yeah, they did. They were trying, you know, they know they're at lesser guns. They're hoping to catch their opponents off guard. You've seen a few teams do that in the past, and I do think it's a fairly common strategy, especially when you're lower on guns, to maybe try and be a bit more aggressive. But they did sort of bank on this being a B hit, and off of so much scene. In mid, you do see the rotation coming over to A, so it's going to be a pretty successful A hit. They are going to have to worry about these tripwires, which should alert Comet Esports to the potential of this A hit, and there you go, they're going to be broken now. So as this flank comes through, and there is another tripwire to guard that from the side of Cataclysm, the 9 is put down. So we will see if the they rotate over towards Heaven, so that way they're not quite as expected. We'll see how they do decide to approach this from Heaven.
We'll see indeed. Surfer seems to be the tip of the spear, the tip of this 2-man retake that Comet Esports want to try and take. They want to get this bonus round under their belt. It'd be a huge boost to their economic gain. Surfer going to take this peek in towards screens, but it's 9 who's going to be able to get both the kills. So a bonus round 1 for Cataclysm.
Yeah, and that's going to be some pretty standard eco structure playing out there, right? You see that a lot in every level of play, whether it's, you know, Iron or this sort of higher level competitive play. You're going to see that potential for pistol, then into an anti-eco, and then you lose your bonus. That's usually generally how it goes, and after all of that, the teams will end up being at a pretty equal buy going into round 4. So we will see, as now it does seem Cataclysm is going to go for the first time with the full hit towards A.
We're going to see it indeed. Grimmar double satchel with the judge in towards Heaven. Completely mows down Surfer. Make sure that... Oh my goodness, Grimmar, hold on. Never mind, he's not done yet. In towards mid is Myaru and Bang TK who line up. So Neptune's able to get both. It turns it immediately back into a 3v3. HP, thankfully, going to be recovered by Rezek's regrowth in towards mid. Rifle's going to be picked up as well. The Seekers have been released, so they're going to completely spot out this mid-pressure. Rezek just spamming in towards that vents area, trying to get any sort of Seekers that pop out killed. It's a rotation back towards A for 2 of these players. But for the attackers, they're looking to hit this B site.
My camera is destroyed.
There it is. Site hits out. Utility being used. Some guiding lights thrown every which way. Grimmar plants that spike in default, and there's a 3v3 retake.
Spike planted.
I mean, this has been a chaotic round so far.
Yeah, the sort of attempt at a classic rotate through sewers after taking heaven control from the offense, right? Cataclysm not able to execute that. They weren't expecting to
Oh,
use
Grimmar with the
mid.
showstopper. Able to find one, but Neptune immediately trades it back out. Helps Zera. Are you able to find Grimmar? Yes, you are. It's a 1v2 for 9, and Neptune takes care of that. So they didn't take their bonus round, but instead they win the gun round following. Comet Esports up to 4.
Yeah, it's a pivotal mistake there for Cataclysm. I wouldn't even necessarily call it a mistake. I think they just weren't anticipating what ended up happening, which is obviously, right, you had that impressive play with the judge, able to clear out right in towards those vents. And after realizing they'd cleared a path, the rest of Cataclysm follows. They had some players pushing up mid, and they were expecting to be able to take heaven control with that, but they were immediately shut down. Those 2 players that were there to clear it out, they weren't expecting that. And you saw the 3 other players on the team sort of at that point were like, okay, well, we can't just push through heaven now. So they were forced to back up, had to go through garage, and that just ended up not being as successful as a post-plan as they would have wanted.
And now immediately coming into this eco round for Cataclysm, Grimmar running him down with that Stinger. Poker Face out of the round. That's that pivotal Viper delay utility out. Surfer's able to take care of Rezek, and Grimmar actually picks up the Phantom, able to take care of Sakusa, and Miyaru onto Surfer as well. Turns things into a 2v4. And look at this lurk all the way through the defender spawn. That's 9.
One enemy remaining.
And Grimmar's able to find Neptune in the meantime. It's helped Zera in a 1v4 in an eco round that should have never come to be. Helps Zera, has to run away. The Sheriff shots are just too good, and 9 helps Cataclysm get their second round, and it's a thrifty.
Yeah, beautiful way to come back there and bounce back from that round loss. And I mean, really all you can think is they did everything in their power to try and win an eco, right? They're playing very aggressive, very quickly, and somehow they're able to catch Comet Esports off guard, and they're taking advantage of that sort of that weak point in that they weren't anticipating being pushed so quickly. They're able to get such pivotal kills to clear out that site. And you even saw Cataclysm understand, all right, you know what, we may have made some progress, let's still send that lurk through, that flank around, and it all just pans out beautifully for Cataclysm.
You said it perfectly, and now coming into this round number 6 here, it's been a very, very slow start. Slow default utility use towards mid. This is bread and butter split. 9 over towards A main. Surfer's there watching it. Watching his back now as well. I mean, this is like textbook, like macro slow default clearing, isn't it?
Yeah, this is definitely a very, very slow, methodical way to get through this. You know, they're aware that their opponents might be on this eco type round. C9 able to take out Sakusa, which does help to clear that, and Poker Face is gonna get screwed here.
Poker Face just completely falls to that snake bite by Bang TK. Rezek and Miyaru, just, they all clean it up. I mean, there's one kill there by Neptune, but otherwise that's about as clean of an anti-eco as you can get.
Yeah, and especially considering, right, you go into that where Cataclysm has sort of, they don't know it, but there's a 50-50 in play, right? That B site was completely left open, and they slowly and methodically cleared through mid, and were checking, seeing what fights they could take, understanding their opponent would be on an eco, and they were prepared to get pushed up on. That didn't end up happening, and instead they tried to go away, which was the wrong choice, but they cleared out beautifully, and note for very minimal damage done in the process.
Well, now, to kind of diametrically oppose that slow play, we immediately see Grimmar double satcheling in towards the site. He's able to find help Zera. Neptune's alone now, isolated. 1v4 on this bomb site. You're stunned up, you're blinded by Seekers. Miyaru takes you out. 3v5 immediately. 20 seconds into this round. We're already in a retake.
And, I mean, there's not a whole lot of a good way to approach this if you are Comet. Bang.
Okay. Oh, Sakusa finds you. Rezek on the spray just to try and maybe get a trade back. It doesn't come through. Not yet, at least. 2 players towards main, 2 on the site. Surfer already trying to work his way in towards elbow. Wants to try and take care of as much attention, gather as much as possible so these 2 players can go in. One of them being Sakusa. Double satchels onto the site. He's able to take out 1. Oh my goodness. It's been a complete shatter on the site. Sakusa with 4 kills. Does he have the time? Yes, he does. He has the time to defuse this. That was insane.
I I don't even know how to process that insane 4K. And I legitimately said going into that, there's not a whole lot of a good way to approach this, and apparently all it took was just out aiming your opponents and making a very impressive and quick and swift closing to that round. So beautifully done. I do think Cataclysm obviously went into that feeling a little bit confident with how they were able to pull out that anti-eco round. So then they come and they attempt to aggressively push in towards A. They're able to, do quite a bit of damage, but at the end of the day, if you just get styled on like that, there's not a whole lot else you can do.
Yeah, evidently not. And now Grimmar and Co looking towards B. But this spike over towards A, they're really trying to sell any sort of fake right now. Is it Orb and A main collected by the defenders? A showstopper used towards B as well. We're pulling more rotations. Every single bit of utility getting used. Cataclysm, they really want to sell this with Grimmar stranded on the site. You can see all of the players, all the remaining players, this support core, they've just snuck out onto the A site completely for free. And Grimmar still finds one on B.
Welcome to my world.
Oh, look
mean-
at that Viper's Pit too. Oh my goodness.
Everything goes right here for Cataclysm. Your Comet Esports, you're sort of just at a loss here. That key entry point in screens is no longer going to be an option, so you're going to have to figure out how to do this just by going through ramp, and of course that's what Cataclysm wants.
Yeah, Rezek already there guarding it. Opts to use the guiding light to try and push people away. You can see Neptune really trying to clear this out, trying to hold, but Rezek on the swing might do one better. Nope, just opts to run away for now. He takes the fight though, is able to find one, but Poker Face with the kill. And Sakusa with not enough time remaining. There has to be a save called. There it is. 2 remaining players for Comet Esports. We'll live to see another day.
Yeah, that was pretty perfect, right? That sort of split play, you're able to find good contact on one of the other sites, and at that point you're sort of creating some of this mystery, right? It's still, your lurker's the one to be able to find some good contact here and there, and you end up going on A, and getting that Viper's Pit down is huge because, as I mentioned, and you even saw it in that impressive Sakusa round with the 4K on the retake, right? They had to approach some of it through screens, right? And so when you're not quite able to get that same contact, that same vision through an info through screens, it does create a lot of a challenge trying to retake the site, especially when time pressure is being applied.
Indeed, and now that we're here in these final 4 rounds of this half, tied up 4-4, and eco out for Comet Esports. I mean, sure, you do have heavy mid pressure, ready to defend any sort of double satchel shenanigans that Grimmar wants to really get into. Oh, the jump spot though. He's able to call it out. Surfer on the jiggle and Vents trying to find anything. There's nothing. But look at this creep. There's a creep towards ramps right now. And Bang TK is able to find Help Zera, and that completely opens up this A site.
Cover going out.
Completely baited out.
Shadows traveling.
Yeah, they've got it. That's that plant going down. 4v5 on this retake. Never mind. Make it a 3v5 with Miyaru. Able to just completely deal with Neptune. Sakusa, you're able to find one, but trades are strong for Cataclysm. There's that satchel away. Grimmar playing for his life, making sure that this 4v2 doesn't go to waste. And with the guns, I mean, is there even a way in here for CEC?
I mean, at this point, you're sort of just playing for potentially getting kills, watching those exits, but really, there is that point at which you're just going to decide to save, and I think it is now for these players, able to pick up some guns and keep them. Just because the eco is not looking super great for Comet Esports, so you still see Poker Face, again, testing for some of those exit picks, but they're not going to find it. Never mind.
Okay.
Alright, Bang's still there.
Bang TK eventually does fall. But ultimately, I mean, if you lose 2 guns, you still keep 3 alive, right? And you win the round too, so it's about all you can ask for.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to start it for sure. Now, you do see Comet Esports taking a timeout because they're understanding, right? Like, a lot of teams tend to struggle on the offense, but instead, they're the ones struggling on the defense. And, they're still keeping it even. It's 4-5, but they would like to be doing a little bit better, right? They don't want to go into the next half without the lead. or at least keeping it tied up. And Cataclysm has sort of figured out the rhythm of things. They're getting sort of that one step ahead. They're playing for some of that early info, and really just being very movement heavy and showing a lot of fluidity and understanding how to adapt in the mid round, especially. And I do think Comet has been able to find some of those ins, especially in those retakes, but occasionally you just see Cataclysm understand how to shut it down. And that was one of those rounds where they just found an early in, got some good picks initially, and that's going to make the difference. So what Comet Esports sort of needs to do here is just figure out really how to deny some of that early info and at least protect yourselves if you're going to end up taking those fights, right? Because they haven't been able to win some of those earlier fights, and it does end up coming down to sort of those mid-round fights where sometimes they're down players trying to figure that out. So I think trying to deny some of that early info and maybe take a little bit of that better control of some of those sites. And I guess off of that timeout, they do decide to just uh, put a little bit more players heavy stacking towards A, which is sort of a bad gamble here, unfortunately, for them.
Well, we'll see as Pokerface uses that Viper's Pit in towards mid, kind of locks off this incredible mid pressure and this presence that Cataclysm have been, effectively going for round in, round out. And now you can see exactly what you were talking about. Cataclysm, Bang TK taking that spike over towards that B side. The Trailblazer does, reveal this trap wire, and Sakusa ends up committing the showstopper in. It doesn't... Oh, there it is. It does find Grim eventually. Rezek eventually able to find Sakusa as well. 9 on the swing out of that smoke. Able to find Neptune. Turns things to a 3v4. Rezek now has to creep around. And the Viper's Pit goes down by Pokerface. Is Pokerface found out? No, he isn't. Rezek falls in mid. It turns things to a 3v3. It's even numbers. Bang. Towards the back of the site. Miaru around that pillar. And in garage is 9. Surfer now looking out onto the site. Trying to do as much as possible. That trap wire gonna get destroyed. Paranoias are out every which way. Help Zera finds 2. It's just Bang TK alone. And he gets taken out by Surfer. It's 5-all now as Comet Esports find their 5th.
I mean, it does seem that Comet Esports, if they're going to win a round, it's going to be by finding an impressive retake. And that's one of those rounds where they're able to collapse pretty easily over those players who are on the site. I think Cataclysm, right, they had the good idea going into it. They were going to try and test for some mid pressure. The Viper's Pit goes out. They challenged it a little bit. And then they decide to go for this split push where they're going to bait out that they're rotating towards A. They sent 3 players through sewers while they sent the spike and one other player over towards B, which does allow them to take the B site pretty easily, but they do struggle to get those 3 players back over to B as they do lose some of those lives. And it doesn't give them that steady post-plant setup they would have liked, and they're not quite able to defend it.
Fortunately, they are not. And now, as we're coming into round 11, 2 rounds remaining at this half, potential for 7-5 lead for either of these 2 squads. Cataclysm opting to try and take some Vents control. Grim R breaks that trap wire. It's all available to him, should he want to continue pursuing it. Bang TK in towards that garage area, and this seems like they're gearing up for a B-split.
Yeah, they definitely getting ready for this entry. We haven't, we've seen them sort of rotate between the 2 sites, bounce back and forth quite a bit. So
It's garage clear. Bang on the swing. Eventually falls to Surfer. Oh no. But now as this hit comes in, it's 5v4. This is actually interesting because Comet now has the man advantage on this retake.
You see Cataclysm taking these sort of off meta positions in this post plant, right? They know that garage isn't clear.
Miaru gets caught out by Neptune, wide on that swing in towards Hell. Grimar, though, with the swing out towards defender spawn, able to take care of Pokerface. Rezek falls in the meantime. Surfer now just trying to jump around. Grimar, you have to try and swing here. Neptune's just stuck the defuse. 9 can't get there in time. 6-5, I mean... And 9 falls at the end, too.
Yeah, I think Comet definitely made a pretty good choice in taking that time out because they bounced back with a 2-round win streak. And honestly, with the way that they're playing, they definitely could be poised to take the lead going in the next half, right? Cataclysm kind of successful in that take of B site, but they do lose, that first player, getting them down on that player and giving up that player advantage, right? And then that sort of post plant's a bit awkward because they don't have garage cleared. There's two players in garage, and they don't really know where to look, and it just became very chaotic very quickly.
I've got your trail.
Is indeed. Thankfully, though, Comet, you're able to find 2 here. Could it be 3? Yes, it is. Neptune's able to find 3.
Down A.
Poker face with 1. It leaves Miaru alone in a 1v3 to finish off this half. I mean, you want a bold prediction? Can he get it?
I mean, at this point, they're going to be pretty wary of the possible mid push, and I do think, yeah, now you're going to start to see them looking a little bit at their flank. I think if Miaru's timing is quicker, maybe they can find a good timing pick, but I don't know if they're going to be able to kill all 3, especially with the way they're stacked up in heaven.
Yeah, Sakusa, I mean, you are going to have to hit a flick here. So if Miaru clears this properly, he is able to find Sakusa. That turns things to a 1v2. It's 1 controller versus 2. Poker face could potentially jiggle ramp, give his entire position away, and then turn things to a 1v1 instead. Surfer holding that cross eventually falls away. Miaru on the dark cover trying to spam around, but it's Surfer to get the kill and end things for Comet Esports with a 7-5 lead going into their attacking side.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to see if you're playing defense on split, right? You want to go into the next half with that lead. That means you did a very solid job on your defense, which is generally the side, at least from what I've observed, that can be a little bit more easy to, or rather easier to play around with. So now it's up to Cataclysm to take advantage of that defense sidedness. They're not in a horrible position here, right? They're only down 2 rounds. You get that pistol, you can immediately tie it up. And for Comet Esports at this point, right, we're going to see if they can, take hold of this offensive side of the map. This is Cataclysm's map pick, so it'll be interesting to see if they're going to be the ones to take it. Otherwise, they may be in some hot water going to the next map.
You're going to see indeed. If Comet are able to take this, they'd be 2 for 2 on pistols so far throughout this series, which could be very interesting, as you can see that Trailblazer immediately being sent forward, clearing out all that utility, and Cataclysm actually opting to do a 3-man flank through main.
You don't see this a lot on pistols. You might see this on eco rounds, but it'll be interesting.
Oh, Surfer spotted it out already. He sees the 3. Rezek takes care of him just fine, but now Pokerface here in towards this garage cubby. The Boombot spots him out. He's going to get swung. Rezek's able to find that as well, but Neptune responds, turns things into a 4v3. He eventually falls to Bang TK, dropping from heaven. There's 2 players here for CEC, but they both eventually fall. Cataclysm making sure that they're able to get at least 1 pistol round in this map.
Yeah, that was a very, very powerful way of doing it as well. And I talked about, that they just needed to get that pistol and they can immediately tie it up, and they do just that. Again, they went for a little bit of an approach you don't see a lot on pistols, where they decide to test in towards mid and go for that flank, and it's very, very successful. Even though at a certain point you saw Comet Esports, maybe expecting a flank to come through. I don't know if they were expecting the 3-player flank to come through, and so they did get caught off guard a little bit, and then it just came down to trying to survive that pinch maneuver that was now being pulled from heaven, and all those defensive spawn entrances. It slowly fell out of their grasp.
Oh my goodness, Sakusa, that was a crazy blast pack, just trying to bait your little stinger, see if anyone from Cataclysm is gonna fall for it. It's like a weird, like, half force thing they've got. They have a stinger and then like 4 classics.
Yeah, I think they're hoping that the stinger will allow them to get a few picks, right? Kill the majority of the players at least.
And they're completely running down Heaven. Grimar with the spams, able to find Help Zera. And Miaru just trying to pepper up some bullets here and there. Some damage being done onto Neptune. 9 though, with the spray on the Spectre is good for 3. And now it's just Surfer in a 1v5. We had Miaru in a 1v3, now Surfer in a 1v5. Man, these Omen players gotta be good for a clutch, but unfortunately Rezek cleans that up for free. 7-7, that was a flawless anti-eco.
Is that the first flawless you've seen?
I think so.
Day? And it's definitely exactly what you want if you're Cataclysm, right? And I just touched on how Stinger had been purchased by Comet Esports, maybe hoping to kill a few of the players, but they are shut down pretty aggressively. They're sort of allowed that heaven control, and they decide, you know what, let's just go through their spawn. They probably will have a bit of a struggle time trying to figure out how to shut us down, and that just was not the case. Completely denied in that attempt. So we'll see how Comet bounces back now that they are on a buy.
See, indeed. As what a flash by Cataclysm. 3 players caught out. Surfer falls. Grimmar able to retreat in the meantime, sends out those paint shells just to try and prevent any trade. Help Zera. I mean, you're going to be able to get Sakusa back up to speed, so that's good, right?
Yeah, I mean your duelist, of course, going to be an important factor, especially when you're trying to push through mid. That sort of explosive potential.
Oh, Rezek. Just jiggling around here, trying to spot anyone. Help Zera. Going to be potentially the first on the swing, but instead it's Sakusa to fall. Neptune's able to respond, but Rezek, you have to fall away. 40 HP. A single body shot with a Vandal would destroy your entire chances of having any more impact in this round. I mean, Nine's still here in the back of the site, but with all these players falling down, it's going to be up to Rezek to try and buy as much time here. Nine's able to find one off the swing, off the back of that guiding light. Neptune falls. 4v2 here for these players. Pokerface falls as well. Help Zera, you're alone. 1v3, you're getting wrapped every which way. Miyaru gets it, and that's a bonus round 1 for CG.
Yeah, it just really seems like Cataclysm is now in there. They're in the group of things now, right? This is the side that they really wanted to be on, and you know, they struggled a bit on that offense, especially towards those last few rounds. But now that they're on the defense, it just seems that they are completely on top of shutting down these players, right? You saw very Comet Esports, of course, going to try and maybe make some contact towards mid, find some info, just so that way you're not putting all your eggs towards one of the choke points in those entrances into the site, and they get shut down in that. Cataclysm is prepared for that push, and they find a kill very early on, which does help them a lot moving forward. And since that point, my brain just stopped functioning. Cataclysm was able to keep themselves on top.
I mean, now thankfully more guns being bought up for Cataclysm. Miyaru's able to take care of Surfer for basically free. He is able to teleport away, make sure that he lives to see another fight. Neptune's here in mid, potentially could catch out either of these 2 players that are sitting and remaining here. I mean, this has been really disciplined by Cataclysm so far.
Yeah, they very clearly understand when not to.
Oh my goodness, speaking of discipline, Bang TK and Rezek combine in mid!
That's done. Quick.
That's incredibly good team play. 4 alive now.
I mean, that was the perfect play set up by Cataclysm, right? You're aware, right? You found that pick in B. You hear them. You know that they're not continuing to push in towards B. You know they're going to start backing up, maybe try and rotate. So you get that positioning in mid. You're ready for a mid play, and you execute it beautifully, right? You've got one player who's going to be able to catch those players off guard in a bit of an off angle, and then you have your player to back them up to swing out, and just, I mean, just completely unanimous and beautiful play here.
You said it. I agree with all of it. And now coming into round number 18 here. 17. Round number 17 here. You know, you see this aggressive A play. Comet Esports already have practically all of Ramp's control. You saw Sakusa and Neptune both around 9 in towards heaven. Able to find Pokerface. Surfer on the jump. Isn't able to find that trade just yet. Help Zera with the crouch is able to take care of 9, turn things to a 4v4. Miyaru in heaven, and 2 of these players for CG on the flank means a 4v4 retake could be dangerous for CEC if they're not watching.
Seek them out.
There's the Seekers. And that's the pop on the trap wire. The guiding light is good. Rezek's able to find Surfer, trying to dodge that flash. Miyaru finds Neptune in towards ramps. Sakusa, you're able to respond to take care of Miyaru, but Help Zera and Sakusa are still remaining on this site. And Seekers are now out for Help Zera. Sakusa eventually falls. Help Zera, 4 HP, 1v2. Rezek sticking the spike. They're trying to find him, but Rezek is just gonna keep sticking it. And that's double digits now for CG.
Yeah, Comet Esports going into that round decided to play a little bit slower, maybe hoping they'd get pushed into. You saw them sort of stack up in that A lobby, waiting for possibly a swing before they started approaching. But all that really did was play out a little bit of time. It honestly helped Cataclysm more than I think Comet Esports would have liked, because it allowed Cataclysm to send that boom bot down garage. They're able to get a good sense of where these players might be headed, and once that A push starts happening, right, you have 9 able to get a kill, but they do get traded off. And from that point, at that point already, Cataclysm sort of knew that that A hit was going to be happening, so they're getting ready to approach a retake, because they're just not going to be able to stop the plant. So they do just that, right? They send that flank coming through, and again, A side is one of those sites where if you're on the defense, it can be so easy to retake just because there's so many of those points that you can just push through, right? You've got screens, you've got heaven, you've got ramp, and potentially if you're flanking, then any of that ramp control that the post plant team might be trying to defend against, the flank sort of just destroys all of that if you can get that lurk through. So Cataclysm is able to just do so much, and again, it just seems as though this is the side that they really wanted to be on. So, however, Comedy Sports did take a timeout, and last time they took a timeout, they did bounce back and got a 3-round win streak that gave them the 7-5 lead going into this half. So there's a chance that that's going to be everything they need. They're going to figure out exactly what they need to do to break through the shell.
We'll find out if they can have any better success this time. They opt to try mid. Sakusa wanting to lead the charge. Help Zera by his side. The jiggle in by Help Zera takes care of that spy camp in towards tower. But, I mean, see, Comet Esports, they're looking to try and do this A-split. With a vent dive at that. Oh no, there is no split. It's really just a lot of vent pressure. It's gonna force out some utility from Bang TK, but yeah, no, they actually want to hit B here. Really interesting. Interesting indeed.
I think that Cybercam sort of told them nobody's going to be watching physically.
Ooh, 9 and Poker Face, each able to trade out 1 for 1. Help Zera eventually takes care of the Cypher on the site. That bomb plant's going down. Spike gonna be here. Rezek now. Oh no. 4v3. Neptune, are you able to find anything in garage? Yes, you are with 2. My goodness, and now Bang TK 1v4. I mean, do you even go for this or do you just save?
For exits, I think.
Oh, can't even do that. Poker Face just takes him clearly. 4v3. 8-10 now. Comet Esports, what a way to bounce back, right?
Yeah, I mean, they did some of that. Again, I do think Cataclysm's approach these past few rounds on this defense has sort of been one of only being aggressive when you are sort of confident and know where those players are, right? They test for a lot of info early without, swinging themselves, without peeking too much, just because they don't want to put themselves in dangerous positions and lose players early, because that can be very punishing on defense when you need to make those retake plays, which Cataclysm has sort of been finding themselves in. But because of that, right, they send that Cypher setup to watch mid, and Comedy Esports is able to push through. They take out that cam, and they're aware, okay, nobody's immediately probably going to swing mid just because, that Cypher util was there. They don't need to. So Comedy Esports was taking advantage of that, pushing up towards that B heaven. They do take out 9, and that neural theft was really the pivotal factor, right? Because Cataclysm was attempting to get that lurk to go through to help back up their players. And after that had been revealed, right, you had your player just completely ready for it. And Neptune was able to find that double kill. So it's just been a very solid overall round from Comedy Esports, and I think it's a really solid response to the way Cataclysm has been playing. Cataclysm now takes, of course, a timeout to bounce back. See if that's what they need to now shut down whatever Comedy Esports had been trying to do to bounce back.
Find out indeed, and Grimar on this op now. Ooh. That's dangerous. Eventually does get smoked off towards vents though, so he's going to have to try and reposition. Rezek guarding main here. That guiding light does spot out at least one player. So Bang TK in towards ramps. holding this real tight angle, could potentially find something. Instead, it's Sakusa immediately double satchel out onto the site, showstopper in hand. That's gonna get sent somewhere, and it actually finds Grimoire in towards vents. Oh my goodness. I mean, Rezek's able to find one in response to turn things into a 4v4, but Pokerface with this double push towards screens is able to take care of Miyaru. 3v4 now. 2 players in towards main. 9 still here with that operator trying to find anything. Trying to make sure that Comet will get punished. Bang! Rezek, each trying to trade bodies around. 9 eventually falls. It's Rezek 1v3. He sprays down 2. He's on for the ace. 4K so far. Sakusa on the swing, potentially. It's Rezek to stick. He gets it halved. He has time, but Sakusa has the kill. 9-10. Comet Esports able to find another round off the back of that timeout.
Yeah, sort of that unfortunate end to what could have been a very, very cool clip. But yeah, Comet Esports did a very solid job in that round. Again, sort of this response coming through, prepared for what Cataclysm might be trying to do. Cataclysm, again, was taking sort of that more passive, playing for info approach. They send that guiding light out, they get some contact, and now they're going to let the site be given up, holding some angles here and there to see if they can, you know, find some good angle picks, which they're not allowed to find. And now they're going to have to pick the retake, but Comet Esports is ready this time, and they shut it down very beautifully.
Beautifully indeed. And now Cataclysm with their own Viper's Pit towards mid. We saw CEC do it on their own, but it's a full B-site execute on the side of Comet. Sakusa, they're able to find one. 9 eventually gets taken down and turns things into a 4v3. Bang. Classic in hand. Drops that Viper's Pit. Groups up with his teammate. Now, Comet, Pokerface using his own Viper's Pit in towards that B site. This is it almost feels like an impossible retake for Cataclysm.
So much control you feel.
I mean, especially with that kill onto Rezek, and with the time ever ticking. Grim are you able to find anything? No, you're not. Neptune's able to take you out, and now bang, TK just has to run away, save that Phantom for another day. And that's double digits all now. We've tied it up.
Yeah, definitely for Comet Esports, they're feeling pretty good here, especially considering Cataclysm already used a timeout to try and figure this out, and they were not able to do that. So now Cataclysm is sort of in a tricky spot where they're going to need to figure this out without that timeout being called. And what we've seen from Comet Esports is sort of this understanding of what to do. Now, the previous round was an eco sort of half buy low eco round, right, for Cataclysm, because for the first time they'd been just shut down with their economy after so many rounds won in a row by Comet Esports. So they end up having to take that eco, and they were able to get that ult out. They got the Viper's Pit out from their opponent. So coming into this, where they're going to be on a bye, they're going to have a solid chance. There's less ults to play against, and they have some of their own.
Well, now as all this utility gets dumped in towards the back of the site, Miyaru, found out by that Trailblazer, takes a little bit of damage, a little bit of spam here and there. It is a kind of half-buy situation for Cataclysm, as they now have to fall away. So Comet Esports now looking to try and route through mid. Bang TK is there. He eventually falls. Pokerface and Rezek both equally trade out. 3v3 now. The ammo's just not there for Rezek, so he eventually falls to Surfer. Turns things to a 2v3. Miyaru, how much can you do as you're gonna get crunched upon by 3 players from Comet Esports heading onto this B site? You have nothing but a Sheriff and 100 HP to your name. Sarah with the plant. So tense. You're waiting on your teammate. A neural theft used in towards main. That's 9. Gonna try and do as much as he can here. Surfer gets revealed again. He's jumping around the site. Surfer with the Sheriff eventually falls. It's a 1v3 required of 9, and he just can't get it. And now Comet Esports, for the first time this half, is back in the lead.
Yeah, and I misread that. It was not an eco on that previous round. That round was an eco round. So now Cataclysm is going to be on a bye. But yeah, 11-10. Comet Esports definitely going to be feeling pretty good, right? They picked it up towards the latter half of this half, and that's exactly what they did in the previous half, and they walked away with the lead going into this half. So I think they're feeling pretty good. They've definitely found their groove now. They found their stride. They know how to shut down those sort of that sort of slow, almost passive style that Cataclysm has been taking, and they understand how to set up for those post-plant scenarios so they just can't get retaked as they had been before.
They can't indeed. Comet Esports looking to try and grab map point here. Cataclysm on the back foot for basically the first time in this half. You still have guns, and you also have an insane shot in Grimar towards ramps, but as soon as that cyber cage gets put up towards that position, I mean, that angle's completely gone. It's useless to you. The swing out of the smoke, though, could potentially be good for one. That's Rezek who's good for it. Makes it 2. Neptune and Surfer respond to combine for 3. Miaru now on the site in towards elbow. Does get flashed. The swing, though, he dodges it, and he's able to take care of Help Zera. Now Neptune kind of stuck. Gonna get crunched on. He's able to take care of Bang TK. Surfer running away with that from the shadows. Gonna try and grab the spike. It's Miaru who's able to take care of Neptune from the shadows. Gonna get used. There it is. Surfer gets it. Runs away. Plants on B.
30 seconds left. Spike
1v1.
planted.
Spike gets planted. Surfer knows where his opponent is. The smoke, though, it's a little deep, but it doesn't matter. He held the angle perfectly. Miaru falls, and now it's Comet Esports on map point.
Yeah, Cataclysm with not the best eco, right? They're gonna have to force a little bit here. They find themselves in a tricky spot, right? This is their map pick. They don't want to let it slip out of their grasp. They need to get 2 in a row. They've been really, really struggling to figure out how to switch things up. And a lot of it just comes down to a lot of that early contact that they find themselves in. They're not winning, right? They're not getting those early picks. And it's really hard to successfully do a retake when you're down players. And even if it goes down to those situations where the spike hasn't been planted yet, they're just not quite able to win those pivotal clutch moments for this 1v1s.
Oh my goodness, Rezek. You're able to take care of Surfer, but Pokerface immediately responds. Grimar on the site. As he gets surrounded, he's able to take care of Help Zera. There's the swing from Sakusa. He also falls. Oh my goodness, Grimar! What was that? 3k on the site. Nine's able to take care of Neptune with a Guardian, but my goodness.
I
The
mean,
savior of Cataclysm.
if there's a way to bounce back, that is it right there. Get a 3k, shut down any attempt at a plant on A. Now it's within grasp, right? This overtime possibilities right there, 1 round away, and I do think that if Cataclysm can not even necessarily recreate what they just did, but figure out how to what they did right there and how to take advantage of that, right? Like, why were they able to win that? And it was really just came down to Comet Esports definitely felt a little confident in how quickly they were able to take the site and let their guard down just a bit.
Just a little bit indeed. Sakusa, you're going to get to your showstopper there, so that's going to be huge to try and take this round. Surfer towards mid, just trying to, keep watch for his team. And I mean, surely you just try and commit off of the showstopper here, right?
I do think that's sort of the direction you're going to want to head in.
Oh my goodness. All that utility starting to get used. Huge utility trades back and forth. The investment in towards mid here is insane. Bang eventually does swing in off the back of a guiding light. But as Comet Esports, they rotate towards A. Grim is here again. And all that, and now, I mean, this is where you want to commit, but Rezek! Oh no! Rezek and Bang! They both combine, like, they're too close together, they both get taken down by the showstopper! Grimar, you have to try and go big here on the site, or else they're going to take out, it's 9! From Heaven who's able to find 2! And now it's Neptune, 1v3 basically, on this site. Pokerface is gonna try and get anything else done, he's able to take care of 1, but with Grimar getting that kill, there's just not enough time. We're going to OT. Oh my goodness.
I mean, that was sort of that mid-round adaptability we'd been missing from Cataclysm, right? They're expecting that rotate over towards A, and they're prepared to set up to shut it down. And despite losing 2 players to the showstopper, it does not matter when you still have those players there that can do some damage, and they do just that. It's just it's a beautiful way for Cataclysm to take it over the edge, right? And now we switch sides again. We're moving into overtime. It's been a while since I've seen an overtime, so this is going to be an interesting one. And again, this is Cataclysm's map pick, so they really, really, really want to win this, because if they don't, they're going to have to move into the next map, which will be Lotus, and it's going to be Comet Esports. It's their world, right? It's their battlefield, and Cataclysm will sort of lose that advantage they had. Apparently, it's going to be a bit tougher than maybe they would have hoped.
My goodness. Overtime, round number 1, Cataclysm. Back on the attack, Grimmar immediately double satchels in towards that mailroom. Neptune has to give this space up for now. And Pokerface back on this reswing. Rezek spamming it out though. And look at this position that Grimmar has. He's up so far. He tries to take a peek in, but he eventually gets overrun after 3 players swing him. With Neptune getting that kill credit. The bomb is planted, so it's a 5v4 retake. Rezek now trying to rewrap in through that alley position. Neptune, though, still here. Wants to try and lead the charge for his team. Help Zera with the flash out. That's going to be bodies starting to funnel onto the site. Bang. Has to kind of sit and tuck in towards Cubby for now. Rezek and Miaru each find one. There's the tap. Pokerface able to take care of Rezek, but now it's a 2v3. Bang. Are you able to find anyone else? No, it's 9 to get the kill onto Pokerface. Now Surfer 1v3. He's only able to take out 9. It's 13 to 12. I was about to say 3 to 2. No.
It seems that any hope Comet Esports may have had, especially after getting such a massive win streak to take them to that match point, it seems Cataclysm has stolen it, right? They're bouncing back. They've found that sort of stride that they need to be on. And again, we talked about how that offensive side was a bit of a struggle point on this map, and despite that, Cataclysm bounces back. And a reminder, they only got 5 rounds on their offense. They got 7 on their defense. So now they're on the side that they did the best on. We'll see if it's going to be the side that ends it all, or if Comet Esports will be able to do the same on their offense.
Oh my goodness. It's so tense. CEC, if they want to keep going on their map pick, they have to win this round. They have to tie it back up 13-13 on this attacking side. Rezek, though, is here. Just waiting with that Trailblazer. Cleared out so much. But now Comet, they get to try and retake Bang on the swing. Eventually has to fall away off the back of that guiding light. And that paint shells and vents. Pokerface still here, ready for a B split at any given moment. If the peak just goes a bit too far for 9, he falls. And now Miaru also gonna get crunched out by Help Zera. It's a 3v5 on this retake for Cataclysm. Sakusa does fall, turns things to a 3v3 after Rezek finds Pokerface.
30 seconds left.
Neptune's here, in towards Hell, trying to get anything done. Surfer on the backstab, can't find a thing. Bang TK takes care of that. But now, I mean, this is all going to be on Neptune. There's that first kill onto Grimmar. He's blinded up by the guiding light. It's Help Zera. 1v2, you take care of Bang TK. 1v1. Seekers are out. Now destroyed. Rezek getting wrapped. Does he check for it? Oh no, the counter wrap, it's coming in! Rezek gets the kill! And Cataclysm Gaming are able to take the map of Split 14 to 12!
I mean, that is certainly a way to end it. Cataclysm just very beautifully
Defenders win.
sort of understands how to push through and get exactly where they need to be in the past few rounds, especially entering into that overtime, right? You saw that offense go very, very well for them. They switch to the defense, and they do everything you'd expect them to be able to do. They're putting up exactly what you need them to do as far as understanding that retake. They're able to get around some of those players to get it down to that 1v1. Even after it really did look like Comet Esports was going to have a very, very powerful round as they were able to find some of those early kills. It didn't matter as Cataclysm was able to get that push through mid to heaven to be able to find that successfully and do as much damage as you'd expect. With you had quite a few players doing pretty well above that 200 ACS mark, so it's definitely something to think about as far as where this next map will head, because you did just see such a powerful performance from both sides.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about this next map. Before we head into a little break, just a quick teaser for you. Next map is going to be Lotus, and it is going to include some of those, new changes. So I'm going to be really excited to see how that's going to play out. But before we get into that, we're going to go to a quick little break, 3 to 5 minutes about that, and then we'll see you right back here for more Comet Esports versus Cataclysm Gaming.
The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. I have come, it's cold and losing my control. The light is gone, the night has come, it's crazy. The night is gone, and lonely dark. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. My way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. No relation. We got no relation. Night has come, it's crazy. And it goes like, wish that you could save me from my isolation. My way too complicated. Let's start this conversation. Those medical pills are push me over.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Titans of Tier 3 Esports League. I am Ancient Angel. With me is, of course, the lovely, the honorable Sleepy Boy 10. Sleepy, we're coming off of a riveting map 1, overtime, 26 rounds, 14 to 12. Cataclysm Gaming was able to take Comet Esports map pick of Split. And now we're going into Lotus with these new Lotus changes. How are we feeling?
I'm definitely looking forward to it for sure. Just because yesterday I did have the pleasure of being able to see the new Lotus changes in play in action, but that was day one of the changes, right? They'd just been added yesterday, so the teams were still trying to figure it out as they went along. And I do think both teams that I saw play did a solid job, but I'm excited to see now that there's been a day for teams to have figured it out and at the very least had a little bit more of a feel for the new map. I'm definitely looking forward to being able to see these changes in action. So I'm looking forward to seeing the way teams decide to play around with it. And yeah, I'm ready to get into it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be real exciting when we're able to get into it. Do you think that we're gonna see any comp changes off the back of this? Like any sort of changes to like what we consider to be like the meta comps on Lotus?
I don't think so. I think there might be some teams that, with the Killjoy changes, there might be some playing around with Cypher a little bit more. I've seen some teams already pull out Cypher before these changes, so there might be a few more teams trying that tactic. But I don't think anything because of the new Lotus changes will really change too much. If you don't know what the Lotus changes are, they basically just made some changes around the breakable door through B Link. They made some changes to the A site beyond just that breakable door area, which they made sort of more boxes or boxy, I guess. They on the actual A site they closed off the hut entirely, so there's not sort of that passageway there, which does make it a little bit easier to retake on the defense for sure. A little bit of there's less hiding spots. They modified that entrance towards the B site sort of just changed around like I don't know, they expanded the site a little bit. They made it a little bit bigger, so it's a little bit of a different feel when you walk in. The rooms definitely feel a lot bigger. C site, a similar thing sort of happened with like the expansion. They actually closed off the amount of plant space there is, and they shifted some of it over towards into elbow, and they modified elbow a little bit. It's sort of interesting changes. It doesn't change too much, but it definitely opens things up a lot more. I'd say every site feels a little bit bigger. Particularly B and C site definitely feel more open. So it'll be interesting to see again. I keep saying that, but it is going to be interesting for sure to see the way teams decide to play around with it.
Well, and we're already talking about some interesting things. Neptune hovering that chamber and help Zera going onto the Gecko. So already we're gonna see some pretty interesting agents coming in here. How do we feel about the Gecko and the chamber?
I mean, it's not like Chamber has faced any recent changes, so I think they're sort of expecting this aim demon to come through. So I'm looking forward to it. Gecko's interesting. I actually did see a Gecko yesterday on Lotus as well. So I do think maybe some teams want to test around with that. I think, and I said it yesterday as well. Like if there's maps that Gecko works on the best, I think the one I've seen Gecko on the most is Lotus. And so I think with the changes, it almost encourages more people to try it out. I don't know if there's any advantages to Gecko over Sky when we're talking about this. When I did see Gecko yesterday, they had Gecko and Sky at the same time, which was an interesting composition. So I'm definitely a little bit more optimistic about this one having success. But yeah, choosing Chamber over something like a Killjoy as your Sentinel could definitely have some pretty big drawbacks. But I suppose if you want that same ability to hold those longer angles that Jet provides without actually grabbing a Jet and instead using a Sentinel role, I suppose that's why you might want to pull out a Chamber. A little bit more difficult to use than Jet, but does fill two roles at once. So it'll be interesting to see where it does end up heading. I'm looking forward to it.
Me as well. And now that we're getting into the action here on this pistol round, Cataclysm Gaming on this attacking side to start things off. Now, every pistol round so far in this series has gone the way of the defenders. So that is a pattern to maybe keep in mind throughout this series, but as we can see, there's that door change coming into effect where it just closes a bit slower than it opens. And I mean, look at Neptune's positioning here in towards Rubble. If they want to hit this A site, they're gonna have to cross him. Oh no, that toxic screen goes up. It allows them to just cross into door almost effortlessly. Okay, a couple bullets get traded, and eventually Neptune rendezvous the heck out of there. That spike plant gonna go down for practically free. Grim R just trying to spam a couple shots in towards drop, making sure that those players don't get too crazy too quick on this retake. But there's the swing out alongside the wingman and the dizzy. Neptune drop down immediately. Poker face now running out of stairs trying to find anything. Grimar with 2, Rezek with 1. Help Zera has found 2 so far in this round. It's now a 1v5 required of him. Or technically an ace required of him in a 1v3. But I think Bang TK's got that under control.
Very, very classic, powerful. Let's just rush in towards A pistol round, and goes their way. A few, you saw that chamber try and maybe find a little bit of some action there, taking advantage of the new boxes placed in that breakable entrance, but not quite able to find contact with it. And from that point on, Comet sort of just didn't have too many other ideas as far as slowing it down too much, and Cataclysm was happy to just run it down. It's a pretty classic pistol round, and we'll see now that we're on this anti-eco how Cataclysm does decide to approach it a little differently.
We're about to find out. Grimar. Oh, it's 9 with that Marshall, who actually is able to find 2. Can it be a third? Just peering over the head there. It's Grimar with 2. And now just swinging around is that final player, Poker Face. Eventually gets run down by Muffin Man, who is replacing Miyaru. I should have mentioned that. Quick little roster change. Muffin Man coming in for Miyaru.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a pretty classic strat, right? You're on your offense, you win your pistol round, you go into the anti-eco, and the defense trying to go for this sort of aggressive rush play is not it's not completely ridiculous to try and defend against it, because even if they don't go for one of those fast pushes out towards the offense spawn, you still have better guns, so you can probably go pretty quickly into one of the sites. So it's a pretty strategic move that honestly just pans out to win-win no matter what. So that's why it works out so well for them in that previous round.
Yeah, and for Comet, now this run up towards the B site here. Oh my goodness, look at how open it is. A double satchel out into the site for Grimar. Surfer, though, already here, able to take care of that player. Oh, but Sakusa actually falls to the snake bite and helps Zera goes down to the ghost of Bang TK. Poker Face, this is a bonus round for Comet Esports. And they're in very big danger of losing it. Neptune peering in from A link. It's Poker Face to find one from C, Neptune to find another from A, and now it's just one player of 9 remaining in towards B main with a Marshall trying to no-scope his way to victory, but Neptune gets the shot, closes it out. It was insanely close. But
Yeah,
it's
and
a round that goes CEC's way.
very beautiful way for Comedy Sports to do it, and that honestly, I was not expecting it to go their way after the start didn't look amazing for them, but getting that down, they did have to lose the majority of their players, and that was a round that they put some money into, so it doesn't allow them to stabilize their eco off of that win, but it does still amount to a win. It's not like they're not going to be able to buy this round, so it all works out for them. Over on the other side, you do have Cataclysm now going to be able to afford a buy, so now we're finally getting into the heat of it. Full buys from both sides. We've got a get-go on the defense. How are they going to use it?
Oh my goodness, Grimar immediately double satcheling in towards Rubble, trying to catch out any of these players. Neptune rendezvous right back to where he started in that little cubby area. Gets spammed out, has to fall back, live another day. And I mean, now as you know, these CG players continue to try and route their way into the site. Neptune isn't good for the swing. Rezek able to take care of that, and now 9 here in towards B main as that spike starting to go down. Sakusa takes care of Muffin Man, meaning that when Rezek plants this, the swing out from Poker Face, he's gonna be good for 1, but Grimar and Bang TK both combined for 2, turning things into a 2v3. Surfer now here towards A link. Bang TK holding that angle, does get taken down. Now 2v2, equal numbers. A retake still ready at any moment. Surfer trying to play some mind games, buy some time for Help Zera to wrap in towards the 7th position. Grimar eventually falls, and now it's just one player sitting again towards main. 9 gets the spam onto Surfer. Wingman sticking the spike. Help Zera is able to get the kill onto 9. So with help of Wingman playing that 1v2 and the drop of the smoke, it's a second round going Chaos way.
That does amount to quite a bit for Comedy Sports, right? Getting that pistol, or not getting that pistol, getting that first full buy from both sides gives them that potential to tie it up, and now they're starting to work their way forwards. I do think, you started to see some patterns in their play, right? The chamber setup towards that A ruins entrance in that breakable area that's sort of been boxed now. sort of taking advantage of it and trying to play off of that. So they're definitely trying to use that chamber to play a bit aggressively towards a lot of these rounds. And Gecko, right in those pivotal clutch moments, is very important because of that wingman diffuse. So using that proactively in the previous round as well, it's definitely starting to shape up to look like Comet Esports is pretty confident in these agents that they've chosen to go, despite how off meta they may be.
Yeah, Neptune still with so much control over towards A. That guiding light is going to be good. Sakusa, you're able to take care of Grimoire, and Surfer's able to find one as well. Make that 2. Despite Rezek's trade, Muffin Man and Neptune now also trade back and forth. It's Muffin Man 1v3. Make that a 1v2. Spikes down over towards C. He's going to be able to plant this thing, but Pokerface is going to try and stop him. There's that teleport. Pokerface, too good for it. The spray keeps it going, man. Make sure that Muffin Man cannot live anymore.
Bit of a misplay there, I suppose, to just rush in, getting ready to put the spike down. But generally, that was a pretty solid response from Cataclysm. It was a really good read, or sorry, it was not from Cataclysm, but from Comet Esports. It was a really good read to take that fight towards that C mound. And when you have one of your players such a successful fight as that, so it's not just an even, 2 players lost on either side, that definitely puts you in good runnings. And then there's a bit of a fight towards A. So just generally went very much so in the way of Comet Esports. So we'll see if that proactive nature in the early rounds will pay off for them moving forward.
Well, speaking of proactive, it's an immediate use of the showstopper by Grimoire to try and get anything in towards heaven. Neptune with a kill into Bank TK in the meantime in towards that A site. That A side of the map. Helpzera has to run away along with a lot of other members of his team. Off the back of those Seekers being used, a Thrash now being used to clear out most of that B-sided area. Grimoire here playing this crossfire with his teammate. He's able to find one, and 9 finds the second. Turns things to 3v3. 2v2 trade. Sakusa, showstopper of his own this time for his team, for Comet Esports. That is going to be 9 that falls. Helpzera in towards heaven. Thrash getting used again. Clears out so much space. 2v2. Now just a 3v1. Muffin Man does get taken down. And CEC, no signs of stopping just yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just complete denial here. Comet Esports very clearly is confident in their defensive abilities right now. They're putting up such a solid show here. I'm definitely looking pretty positively at Comet Esports now. They definitely struggled a little bit on split, especially to just figure out how to adapt. They lost a lot early on in each half, and I think Comet Esports is now finding their way back into it. Right, they're getting those numbers up early, and now it's down to Cataclysm to try and bounce back. So a timeout has been called, so we will see if the change up will be useful for Cataclysm. I do think they've made a few small mistakes here and there. I think generally this plus plant has looked solid, but like in the round before this one, when there was that fight towards C and there was that TP from Muffin Man right onto the site, which is completely exposed. It's small things like that, but they are those things that in this timeout you can sort of clean up and just generally figure out how to approach these site hits a little bit better, because they're sort of pushing, not finding very much contact, and then continuing to commit. And I do think one of the beautiful things about Lotus, and the reason it can be offense-sided, is because it just enables so much fluidity for the offense as far as moving in between each site, especially once you're already pushed up in those entrances. So I think Cataclysm could maybe play for a few more picks before, especially early on in the round, before they start pushing towards one of the other sites. They've got some fluidity to work with. They should be trying to use it, and we'll see if that's something they're going to start doing here.
We're about to find out. Neptune with that op. Shot goes just a little wide, so he isn't able to get a kill just yet. Showstopper, or not a showstopper, a boombot being used. Oh my goodness. Could you imagine if that was a showstopper? It would have been insane. Instead, Surfer towards defender spawn as this site is going to get hit and that plant is going to be achieved. The Viper's Pit is going to get used to try and block off any sort of retake happening from Waterfall. So Neptune, a lot to work on, but Surfer going to try and peer in from the other side. Neptune's able to find Rezek peeking out. Bang TK still here in towards that Viper's Pit. Pokerface able to find Grimoire as well. Bang TK peeks out of his own Viper's Pit to try and find something. Nothing gets found just yet. 9 has to have good shots on the Sheriff, and he only is good for 1 kill. Now Comet Esports up to 5 rounds. They're going insane.
And pivotally, it's not just that they're up to 5 rounds. They are pretty dominant here in each of these rounds, really showing an understanding of how to shut this down, right? Cataclysm, honestly, the Viper's Pit, especially on Lotus, can sometimes just be a win button, right? You press it, you get that Viper's Pit down, especially after that spike has already been planted, and you're in a really good place. But it just seemed that maybe it was misplaced. They didn't know how to play around with it, and it just seems, I don't even know if it's necessarily the changes to Lotus, but Cataclysm is not showing that same sort of potential, that confidence that we saw from them on Split. And again, those aggressive pushes are not finding very much value.
Not at all. Sakusa starts off this round. Surfer and Sakusa again immediately respond. Rezek gonna try and drag numbers back into his team's favor, but he's only able to find 2 to Sakusa's 3. +1 by Surfer. That means he's alone, and Poker Face on that swing immediately brings that team of Comet Esports Club up to 6 rounds.
Again, going into that Cataclysm, they're saying to themselves, all right, let's go and try and take this fight in Ruins. We know that that's going to be the fight that's going to be trying to be played by Comet Esports because they've done it in the past. Let's take that fight. Let's try and win it. And they just don't find anything. They're just completely denied in that attempt. It gets down. Their numbers continuing to dampen. They're trying to make up some of that grounds by finding those kills on the players that have been killing them up to that point. It's just, it just seems as though as soon as they lose a player, it's just a downhill battle where they just continue to commit and commit and commit, and are not finding much else after that.
Toxins going up.
It's that lack of commitment that we're talking about. Or I guess the lack of capitalization off the commitment is more what the reference was. Sakusa, speaking of commitment, committing a showstopper in towards C Mound. Muffin Man in so much trouble, is able to from the shadows out of there at just the right time. Now Neptune with this operator has so much to find as this A hit is about to come in. All of these players funneling in through tree. He could get caught out. Things could get really bad here. He's able to find Rezek and is able to teleport away just in the nick of time. Now he's towards stairs. 5v4 in this retake as the spike gets planted by Grimmar. Wingman getting sent out, clearing up all that space, sending out paint shells as well just to buy some time. Muffin Man's able to take out Surfer, helps Zera, finds Grimmar. 9 immediately responds. Sakusa dropping down in towards drop, but Bang TK comes up heaven and goes huge. And now Neptune, 1v3. So much to find. This chamber player, what more can he do for this team? It's just 1 kill. He can't find the second nor the third, and that gives CG a 3rd round.
Yeah, finally a round that they did not, that wasn't a pistol round or a round where they were on like that anti-eco, they had the gun advantage, right? That's huge for Cataclysm. What they really did that round is a lot of what they were really good at doing on Split, right? They made some noise over on C, and it completely baited out their opponent. And again, I talked about how easy it is for the offense to rotate, and they didn't even necessarily need to do too much other than a from the shadows out of there over towards A while the rest of the team was already there. And they're able to take advantage of the fact that the defense takes so long to rotate on a 3-site map, and it's a very successful A hit with sites mostly empty.
Oh my goodness, Neptune. What a clean shot onto 9 there. And now, I mean, that brings you to a 5v4, so CG, even though you were able to take that last round, you're now starting this one at a man deficit.
And again, it's that testing for early info that they're denied in. But you see how this time they're not trying to push for that trade. They're just like, all right, we'll play without him. Go over towards A. And I think that's sort of that proactive fluidity you do need to show if you're gonna make this comeback happen.
Okay, Bang TK and Poker Face trying to fight it out. Poker Face eventually goes down though. So now Sakusa, you have to try and salvage what's remaining of this site. But Grimmar already stuck in towards the back of the site there. Helps Zera though. Able to catch out Muffin Man and drop the spike. He's also able to get Rezek. Long range. Who says a Phantom can't frag? Grimmar, you're able to find Surfer and you pop the showstopper. But with someone in towards drop by the name of Sakusa, things could get dangerous, but you send your showstopper that way. Sakusa eventually falls to the hands of Bang TK, turning things to a 2v2. That plant's gonna go down in the back of the site. No, it's not. Not yet. It was just a tap. Neptune now swinging into the
Oh.
site. Head taken clean off by Grimmar. The tap yet again helps Zera. Your position's found. But with so much time, all you need to do is delay. You find Grimmar. You have to reload. That spike hasn't gone down just yet. It's the swing
Oh
by
my-
TK to get the round. CG to 4.
I don't. I mean, what on earth? In that that was certainly an event that took place there. But what I'll say is, Cataclysm Gaming starting to not find themselves falling short. They're starting to not push aggressively and continue to commit where they really shouldn't, right? They lost that player in B after defaulting a little bit. They do just decide, let's go towards A, and they take out the only player on A. There is still one more coming in through CT. It doesn't matter. They're able to get that spike down, delay the retake, and they do a beautiful job of getting down that round.
Oh my goodness, speaking of some rounds and some chaos, Comet Esports flying right now. Getting shot down every which way, 3v2. Pokerface still here on the C site. Lockdown getting committed as well. It's gonna kind of force him to get off this site unless he wants to really try and peek in. Get anything out of Muffin Man. No, he leaves. Neptune with this tour de force, trying to find something, maybe a Bang TK running around, trying to go in towards that C-Link area. 2v3. Spike gonna get planted pretty soon. Neptune towards heaven. They rotated into him. It doesn't matter though. Muffin Man still gets the kill and the plant. And now Pokerface, a 1v3 required of you if you want to guarantee a lead for your team at the half. As you start to take some peeks in. Maybe potentially finding something lurking around 9. Not watching just yet. Head. Shot by Pokerface. Now. There it is. Now. B main. That's what needs to get taken care of. Muffin Man teleports across to hold the crossfire. They double swing. Gap in the wall. Bang TK sends out the snake bite. But gets sprayed just a little bit as a result. Muffin Man falls. Bang TK 1v1. Pokerface. He keeps backing up the spray. Just isn't
my
good.
God.
Bang TK with the classic again. Back to back. He gets the rounds. 5 rounds for Cataclysm.
And they are really starting to heat up now. Might be a little bit too late, right? At the very least, they can tie it up 6-6 going into the next half, which isn't exactly where you want to be on the offense. But if they can get some momentum moving, I mean, mental momentum is a very real thing and could help them carry into the next half. You do see the final round of the half. You do have Comet Esports taking their time out here, trying to figure out how to shut down what Cataclysm has been able to do pretty well these past few rounds, which is just not push too aggressively. And I think, unfortunately, for Comet Esports, they sort of got used to that, where Cataclysm was going to sort of push very quickly onto the sites. And now that Cataclysm has sort of slowed down, taken their time, change of pace, it does seem Comet Esports has struggled to really figure out how to return to that. And they are sort of in a tricky spot here. They do end up in a pretty solid spot overall, right? At the very least, they're going into their offense with 6 rounds. That's a pretty good way to do it. But they have been struggling, right? And if they're not quite able to adapt the way that they might want to, that could hurt them going into the offense where, you saw the offense on Split from Cataclysm Gaming, especially early on. They were very well put together, very cohesive. And obviously Lotus is not the same map as Split, but if they can put up that similar defense where they're very cohesive, they're very sure in their footing, they're not being baited out too easily, I do think Cataclysm could have a pretty successful defense. So for Comet Esports, it's pivotal that they do figure this out.
Pivotal indeed. Coming into this last round of the half, you talked about it, and I fully agree. Comet Esports, you really do not want to let a scoreline like 6-2, 6-3 go to waste. Sakusa here, pushed up really deep in towards Rebel with this Guardian. With help of his teammate, help Zera. Could potentially be huge. Bang TK gonna start to peek in. Off the back of the guiding light. That's 3 players now funneling across this toxic screen. Help Zera's here though. He's able to find one. He swings out. Can't find the second. Rezik and Bang TK. Each able to take one apiece. Oh my god. Surfer through the smoke. Able to find one. Grimmar stabilizes and turns things to a 2v3. 3v2. Basically the same thing. And now Grimmar with that plant and that Viper's Pit in this last round. It's gonna be a retake. That's as close to impossible as can be. Pokerface is going to be the one to wrap around. He's trying not to peer into this Viper's pit just yet. Grimmar is here sitting in the corner, lurking, camping, waiting for his time to strike. The door gets opened. Neptune starts to spam. It's going to potentially buy a little bit of time. There's the gun barrel spotted by Pokerface. Who knows how to play in a Viper's pit better than the Viper? It's Muffin Man, the Omen, who's able to get that kill. And with not enough time remaining, the round given up. Neptune just trying to find any kills if he wants. Can't find anything. It's Bang TK and Muffin Man to find the 6th round for CG to tie it up at the half.
For Cataclysm Gaming, that is the best that they could have hoped for after they were down the numbers that they were. So now it's up to them to figure out this defense, right? This is not the side that is favored on this map. It's a pretty solid disadvantage, so they do need to put up more than what you'd expect, but their opponents did get 6 on their half, so it's definitely possible, especially with the recent changes. It does help the defense a little bit more, particularly on that A site. So there's definitely an opportunity here if Comet Esports doesn't figure out how they want to play this offense, but I'll imagine on their map pick that they're going to have a pretty solid idea about how they want to approach these rounds, and this pistol should go by pretty quickly, as did the first one.
We'll find out indeed. Bang TK already here in towards that tree area, using that one-way lineup. Save that for your ranked games or your premier games, whoever it might be. But for the side of Comet Esports, this A site is the designated target. But with that B door breaking, it could be a little costly. Grimmar able to find Neptune. It's going to force these players on CEC back in towards this A site. Wingman planting that spike in that corner helps Zera is able to trade out, turn things into a 3v3 on this retake. Grimmar already stomping his way in towards this A main area alongside his teammate of Rezek. Helps Zera clearing out all of stairs. It gives the remaining CEC players so much knowledge as to what's about to happen. Rezek, you're going to get spotted out. Helps Zera gets that kill. And now Grimmar going to try and find anything back. Pokerface drops away. B hops around the corner. 3v2. Time's running low, but no one's sitting near the spike. Surfer's able to find Grimmar, but Muffin Man on the tap. It could potentially be dangerous. The jump through from Pokerface. The ammo not there. The knife kill instead. Surfer finds it. Oh my goodness, that was a close round.
That is a way to end it. I said the pistol would probably go by pretty quickly, and I was mistaken in that statement. But it does once again go to the offense, so pretty much what you'd expect. And that was a pretty solid round, right? You don't typically see too much strategy go into pistols other than what you're going to do initially, just because it's a pistol. But you did sort of see that proactive adaptability in the mid-round, where after Comet Esports has gotten that spike down, they were able to play off of the fact that they knew some players were B, and they really just wrapped around pretty effectively. So we'll see if that continues to be the case with the pace that they try to take.
Oh, speaking of an anti-eco, it's a frenzy kill. Make it 2 out from Rezek, trading things back down to a 3v3. I mean, that's one way to start things off. Muffin Man here in that stairs smoke, trying to make sure no players get a little too frisky. Wingman planting that bomb site. Planting that spike down right there on that A site. Really, really out in the open. 9 able to pick up a frenzy of Rezek. See what he can find with it. Surfer on the swing out rubble. Able to find Muffin Man. 9 eventually falls, so no more frenzies in this round. It's just going to be a Bucky for Grimmar, should he need it. Just sending out these classic shots. There's that Bucky coming out. Are we going to see the push? Are we going to see the bait and push? There's the swing. The double swing, maybe. Surfer eventually falls. Neptune on the swing, though, able to trade it out. Get that 8-6 scoreline going. Get your momentum going in this half. Comet Esports making sure to keep it going strong.
6-8 now in Cataclysm. Definitely in a bit of a tougher spot than they would like to be, but that's of course going to be traditional round structure now playing out, where their opponent's on a bonus. And they did sustain some decent injuries there, right? They lost the majority of their players on their anti-eco, so this bonus, they're not going to have the best guns, so Cataclysm should be able to do some good damage here. And again, I talked about their defense on split went pretty well for them early on, so we'll see if now that they have guns, it's going to be a different change of pace.
Oh my god, Grimmar. What a way to start things off. Neptune completely taken out of this round, a non-factor. Thrash, though, on the other hand, might actually mean something as Sakusa double satchels in towards the site. Nine's able to find two, but does have him and a teammate traded out. Rezek falls to the hands of Helpzera, turns things into a 2v2. Muffin Man, you're going to be here towards Waterfall, joined shortly by your teammate of Grimmar, as Helpzera uses his buddy Wingman. Lets Lil Bro plant the spike for once. You know, get his ACS up. This site's immediately getting retaked. Grimmar's already here. Spike's gonna get tapped. Oh, but Thrash gets recommitted. Grimmar taps, falls away. Sakusa able to get that headshot. Muffin Man's still alive, though. He can start defusing if he so pleases. He's tapped it, but he's not on it. Instead, it's Sakusa to swing. Now he's sticking it. It's Helpzera spamming away with that classic. Muffin Man still on the stick. Jumps in the smoke with the classic. It's Muffin Man to get the kill, and he has enough time. He's got the defuse. CG for 7.
Wow, that was perfectly and beautifully played by Muffin Man there. And you know what? It's not going to matter too much. Just because they did lose so many of their players. That's a round you do not want to lose players on. Especially to lose all but one. And, you know, obviously the best you can hope for is winning it. And Cataclysm does do that. And I think they should feel good about themselves for that. But they are now going to struggle because they don't have good eco. They're up against a full buy, right? They are down to some players having a Spectre and a Guardian. It's not going to be the most fun period of time for them going into this round because they just don't have the best guns to work with.
We'll see what Grimmar can do with this Spectre. The answer is nothing for the moment as he backs up in towards that A-Link area. Sakusa, alongside the rest of CEC. It does seem that as this B main area gets cleared out by the Trailblazer, the Showstopper goes in and Helpzera falls. Sakusa, Surfer, Rezek, a bunch of kills going every which way, leaves things in a 3v3. And Pokerface, when you drop that wall, it could have gotten dangerous. Muffin Man, though, both shots miss, so no lives taken off of that engagement. But look at where that spike is. That spike is in no man's land. Literally, no one is there.
And it is interesting. You see Comet Esports taking advantage. They spotted an opportunity in that there was sort of this open entrance into the defender's spawn, and they've taken hold of it. But they still don't have the spikes, so they're hoping they'll be able to collapse in and catch these offensive players off guard. And I don't know if Cataclysm's going to let that happen.
We're about to find out, but this flank is just too good. It never got checked. Pokerface, you're able to take care of 9, but with one more player on this flank, I mean, it's not looking sturdy. It's not looking safe. Pokerface able to pick up that spike, start to rotate, moves all the way over to the C site. I mean, a plant at this point, that's so much more than you could ever ask for.
10 seconds left. Spike planted.
20 HP, spike planted, 1v2. Muffin Man's here, probably just gonna opt to wait for Bang TK to start to reroute back in towards this C site with him. Pokerface has to try and get ahead of this. Bang TK just running around, picks up that rifle, eventually falls to the headshot of Pokerface. And now, 1v1, Muffin Man gets the kill though, and turns things to 8-all.
I think there was just that misstep. I talked about it a little bit in the mid round where you saw Comet Esports, right? They found that sort of opening in towards the B site. So they end up just abandoning the spike entirely, opting to try and take a fight over near A. There's a flank that comes through on them and does get them down to just that one player, right? Because that player that had managed to get into the defender spawn wasn't quite able to find the contact they would have wanted and ended up just being taken out by the counter flank coming through from the defense. So it just became a bit of a sad story for Comet Esports where they made that pivotal misstep and they end up needing to try and clutch a 1v2, which they're not able to do successfully.
Indeed. And I mean, look at this gamble from CG. They left this B site completely open with the exception of one toxic screen. And I mean, they've been pushing these extremities so hard. This B site is completely open for the taking. Which, I mean, they're going to do exactly that. Sakusa's here in towards this door area, this breakable area to try and stop things. He can't get the showstopper off, though. Grimmar gets that kill. I mean, Rezek goes down on the other side, but with how much has gone on, oh my goodness. The amount of utility that Bang TK is getting hit with, it's a surprising trade. 9 and Bang TK,
Oh my God.
both able to come out positive in that engagement. It's just Surfer alone here. And with only a Stinger to do the job, he can't get it done. It was a weird half-buy situation for both teams, but CG's able to come out on top and bring things to their favor with 9 rounds.
I did talk about how the defense on Split went so well for Cataclysm. And now you come back over to Lotus, and it seems they're able to recreate that despite the offensive advantage. And they did struggle a little bit to start it off, but after only getting 2 rounds, you just see a little bit of that falling apart coming through from their opponent, and that does allow them to get ahead here. And they're definitely taking it, right? They're doing such a good job of understanding where to take fights. Again, this is something they were really good at on Split, which is to not give up too much early and instead figure out where the players are and figure out what to do playing off of that, right? And especially on a map like Lotus where players rotate so quickly, that's a huge, just to understand that early info gives you so much power when it comes to those rotations.
So much power indeed. Speaking of power, we got to talk about control and how much C-mount control the attackers CEC have at this moment. They opt to rotate away, let that control be fought back for by Cataclysm should they want it, but it's going to be a time investment. Instead, all that utility getting used towards Rubble. It's going to be Grimmar using those paint shells to try and slow things down. Thresh does eventually get taken out, but Grimmar able to find Neptune, but Sakusa with 2! Oh my goodness, trades going every which way. It lands with CEC in a man advantage. There's the Dizzy just to try and find something, and the Wingman and the Boombot, it's all going out. Sakusa with a kill can capitalize off the back. Poker Face able to take out 9, and now Bang TK 1v4 gets a Vandal in his hands. With so many players, with so many trades going every which way. Oh, the swing from Sakusa, it doesn't matter. He dodges the Thresh, but Surfer, you can't dodge his bullets, man. You gotta ride that wave and bring it 9-all for CEC.
And Cataclysm, again, just falling slightly short there. I think Comet Esports did a good job, right? They made a good amount of sound on C, and so they were able to catch Cataclysm off guard after I just praised them for not being baited out too easily, and Comet Esports is able to do it. And you talked about that mound control. They had it. They made quite a bit of noise. Didn't find anything. So then they did back out, right? They understood, okay, we didn't face anything here. Let's rotate out. Let's take advantage of how easy it is to rotate. And they do just that. They get over to A, and they have a substantial amount of success on the side.
Speaking of mound control, we're back at it yet again, but this time Rezek and Bang TK able to combine for 3. Grimmar sending out those paint shells, forcing Surfer to teleport away using that shadow step, the paranoia, just to try and find anything back. But with the spike down on the other side of that smoke, it's going to be a slog for these players. Neptune starts things off with a kill on Grimmar, but with Surfer still here, he has to be the one to try and grab this spike. On the high-low, on the off angle as well. It was nasty. Eventually, Bang TK and Rezek decide to go for something a bit different. You can see those Seekers just trying to figure out where Surfer is. Surfer going to have to peek off the back of it. He swings to the other side of the mound, trying to, again, do as much as possible. From the Shadows is still available, so they could from the Shadows onto that spike, but I mean, what do you do here if you're CEC?
I like the idea of From the Shadows. The issue is that Cataclysm, you can see, is now anticipating that, right? They had left a player in A for so long because they were prepared for that possibility. So you're really just going to have to, now that Cataclysm has split up, there's potential here if Comet Esports is able to win the isolated fights.
Oh no, Bang TK just gets caught out by Surfer. That's a way back into the round for CEC. A round that was a 4v2 at that. Surfer might try and go window shopping here. He's able to find Rezek and he's able to get away but without getting traded. Muffin Man, 2v2. Lockdown getting used, gonna force some of these players away. Neptune still here though, standing strong. Holding for any sort of swing that might come his way, like 9. He's still spraying. He's eventually able to rendezvous out, but he does get detained. So now Muffin Man is going to be able to jump around in this 2v1. He's able to get that first kill, but Surfer on the wrap. Is he going to be good for it? Muffin Man sticks. Now it's been halved. He gets off, and he tries to run around. He's able to continue trying to run, but the time's just not there. CEC able to close out the 2v4.
I mean, yeah, I think Cataclysm was in sort of this this tough spot where they were aware, right, that from the shadows was a factor, so they didn't want to really give up any sites for free because there might just be that teleport over towards that site if the site is cleared. What ended up happening is sort of this this weird situation where Cataclysm goes 1-2-1. They played one player on C, two players on B, and one player on A. The issue is as soon as that push comes into C and finds and kills the player that is guarding C, Cataclysm no longer has anybody on C. The two players on B are trying to rotate over, but just not successful enough to do much damage. And that 2v4 looks beautiful if you're Comet Esports.
I think it was actually a 2v5, which is even more impressive.
Oh.
And now CG forced down to an eco. You can see Rezek there with the Sheriffs. The shots just go wide. Sox is able to get that kill. Grimmar is here, and we do know how deadly Grimmar's shots have been so far in this series, but has to try and give that up. The spam as well. Surfer. Oh no, it's Muffin Man to get a kill there. Pokerface does trade that out. Grimmar does eventually fall to the Viper as well. That Viper's pit used towards B. The runaround. Neptune's able to get away and get 2 kills with the turret of force to clean it up. 11 rounds for CEC. They're looking strong here on Lotus.
Yeah, they're definitely inching closer and closer to taking it towards that line, right? They're almost at match point, 1 round away. Cataclysm Gaming, I think, understands the severity of the situation. They're understanding sort of the struggle that they've had as far as how to shut down these pushes. You do see Comet Esports having quite a bit of success in that they're starting to play a little bit more cohesively, a little bit slower. Obviously, that previous round was sort of that anti-eco. They knew their opponent was staying in eco, so they weren't super worried about necessarily playing too slowly. But I do think Comet Esports has done a really good job of playing around their opponent. They really understand what to do in the early round to find info or to make noise, and then how to play off of that. And I do think for Cataclysm, they've been struggling just a little bit to figure out how to play around with that too much. And they really, I mean, really what they need to do is probably do the same that Comet Esports has been doing, which is find a little bit of info in the early round without their opponents having to make noise. Whether that's using some of your util like your Sky early on towards one of those entrances, just get some of that initiating util, that info util out of the way, so that way you understand where these players are coming from. So that way you can do a bit more of that defending, right? Because sort of they're going in blind, not getting a whole lot of info early until their opponents make noise, and that could either be their opponents getting ready to bait them out, or it could be their opponents getting ready to kill them, and at that point Cataclysm doesn't have enough players there to respond.
Well, we're about to find out if Cataclysm could respond to this aggressive rubble hit. Pokerface able to get the first kill, helps Zera and Muffin Man and Sakusa all trade out kills. It ends in a 4v2 for CEC. Viper's Pit committed on the A site as well, helps Zera with that plant. More specifically, Wingman with that plant. Forces Bang TK and his very long-time trusted teammate of 9 into a 2v4. But with that Viper's Pit down, I mean, is there even, like, a real way into this? Be real with me, Sleepy. Is this, like...
I mean, it's definitely not the most winnable position, and obviously see Cataclysm understanding that, getting out of there. I do think like Cataclysm had sort of the right idea coming into it, right? Trying to take those fights in B. The issue is you just get so pushed up, and at a certain point you're fighting around this pillar, these ruins, where there's not a whole lot of possibility for your team to back you up, and you sort of end up in very exposed positions. Up against a 5-stack, you're going to have a really hard time when there's just 3 of you to cover all of your bases, and it just seemed a little bit incohesive and a little bit careless in the execution, a little bit very sloppy. And I do think that's sort of hurting Cataclysm, especially in that round. So now they're having to force a buy here. They're going to need to win 3 in a row, starting it off with a forced buy. They don't have horrible guns, and they were in this position on split, but we'll see if they're able to make it work coming into Lotus, where they're going to have to win 3 in a row again to take it to overtime and fight through that. it's not looking amazing.
And the other thing as well is this is like the weaker side on
Yeah.
Lotus, right? We generally view Lotus as to be an attacker-sided map, so this is incredibly difficult. And you can see CEC just deciding, you know what? No funny business. We're looking at C. We want to hit C. We have mound control. We're sending in a bunch of utility, a Dizzy, a Wingman, 3 bodies out of that smoke. Nine's able to find the first and the second off the back of the Nanoswarm, and a third through the smoke. A showstopper used as well. Surfer teleports up to high ground but gets caught out by Grim R. A 1v5 now needed from Neptune to close this round out. And I'm going to be honest, Sleepy, I don't think this is the round that CEC win.
Again, this is sort of what we saw in Split, right? Where I wasn't necessarily expecting this comeback to mount, and then it did, and now we're on Lotus, right? Same position, you're on defense, trying to make a comeback work, and it just seems Cataclysm was completely prepared. And, I mean, you talk about that mound control, which Cataclysm has pretty much never tried to really fight for, and I do think that, to an extent, there was sort of this understanding from Comet Esports that that was not going to be fought for, so they're happy to take advantage of it and get ready to push in towards C, but Cataclysm wasn't taking it for a reason. It's because they were prepared to stop a push into C by taking advantage of the only entrance into the site, which is that C main entrance, and they completely shut it down.
Oh, the pop flash is good. Neptune falls off of the back of Rezek's guiding light. Sakusa and Co. now here in towards that A side of the map, trying to get as much as they can, and there's no one here. This A side is completely free, so all of the utility that's going to get used here, it's gonna kind of be a waste, but CEC don't know that. They're just trying to clear out the site. They're actually going further. They're trying to push deep into defender spawn, and Bang TK alongside Muffin Man, they could get caught out, but the crossfire's good, so Help Sarah falls, and that's the spike down as well.
Oh,
What do you do here? It's a 3v5.
they did pick it up, hand planted, but yeah, that's a pivotal loss as well. Now you're down 2.
Oh, and that turret spots out Surfer. He's going to have to try and run away to a different spot. He's kind of stuck here. From the shadows in towards that tree. It's going to be good for it. Rezek with that Trailblazer trying to find as much as possible. That tree door is going to get opened in the next couple seconds. Maybe 2 players going to start funneling in there. Start to really pinch out on this retake. 5 members alive here for CG on this retake. Muffin Man takes care of Poker Face in towards heaven. Surfer falls, and so does Sakusa.
Wow.
It's a confident back-to-back flawless rounds for CG.
This is huge for them. This is exactly where they want to be. Yeah, you're right. Back-to-back flawlesses, and it just seems that Comet Esports, I don't know if they got too confident or what, but they just started to really slow down the pace and just get shut down in their attempts, right? They send their chamber to do a little bit of lurk action towards B. They get shut down, so then they just slowly inch their way up towards A. They're prepared to maybe go through Breakable to send a Boombot that way, which does do a good job of baiting Cataclysm out a little bit. They keep quite a few of their players near B, which does leave A side open, but they make the decision to go and try and push into that defender spawn, and they're already down a player, and they lose another one in that attempt to push into that spawn. So it just time after time continues to go badly for them in that round in any attempts to gain additional info, and it slowly slipped out of their grasp. So I think Cataclysm is definitely going to be feeling pretty good now. Again, we saw them in this position on Split. I'll keep saying that just because there's so many parallels happening, right? It just seems once they know the pressure's on, their opponent's on match point, they really kick it into gear. And they did start this off, I believe, with a timeout to figure everything out. So it's a bit different. And now, of course, Comet Esports taking a timeout to really just figure out how to shut this down. I mean, they would hate for it to go to overtime and to lose again, because to win a best of 3 2-0 in overtime both times is just a bit disappointing.
And this is like the 6th round that Comet Esports has been on a map point and hasn't like been able to close it out, right? Like this is now round number 7 or something that they've been here. And oh, the flash, it's gonna be good. So Grimar's gonna have to back away. 9 with an op of his own on the other side of the map, able to take care of one, and Grimar, shots are too clean. Surfer falls. So that Thresh is gonna be available for CEC here in a 3v5. Grimar still holding with that op. There's the Thresh. gonna get used. Grimar is detained, but Muffin Man in Stairs is able to take care of Helpzera and Sakuza. Poker Face, 1v4 required of you. Potentially a 1v5. Grimar, with the shorty jump, makes it easy. 12-12, overtime, map 2, here we go.
Switching sides.
And
Overtime.
this is not generally what you see, but both teams got 6 rounds on their offense and 6 rounds on their defense on Lotus. It's not the most common thing to see. Usually when you see overtimes like this, it'll be the offense won 7 rounds and 5 rounds of their defense, something like that. But both teams are 6 and 6, so there's not really a good indicator to say which team is going to do better on which side, because they sort of both are even on both sides. So it'll be interesting to see the switch up. Obviously, pistol rounds won't be a factor here, and it's just going to be down to whichever team can put up the performance that we'd expect from them. And Cataclysm, of course, would like to take this over the line. They'd like to make the comeback happen, and they carried the mental momentum through on Split. We'll see if it's going to be a repetition here on Lotus.
We're about to find out. As Sakusa and Neptune both are in towards that A site, trying to build as much control as possible for CEC. On the side of Cataclysm, though, Grimar, it's a very, very standard 2-2-1 default. Muffin Man here towards that C main area. Poker Face ready to jiggle at a moment's notice off of any utility. It's such a powerful angle that we've seen so many teams use. Just this time with some extra cover. And Muffin Man still just probing in as more players start to group up over towards this B side of the map. It seems they want it end B. No, it's actually C. That's where the spike is headed. It all ends C, but Grimar tries to double satchel out, just a little bit too impatient there as he bonks his head on the ceiling. Surfer, what an insane timing to back up, but 9 on the swing, just too good for it. Neptune with the backstab is good to take a kill onto Grimar. Muffin Man sends that paranoia over towards B, but Poker Face in the meantime, able to take care of one of these players on C. 9 tries to jump in with the classic. Helpzera's good for it. Rezek, Muffin Man, it's up to you two in a 2v3. You have to try and take care of Helpzera first. There's Rezek on the plant. And as this C site gets collapsed upon, Comet Esports, you could potentially get your 13th round off the back of Helpzera's 3K. Finally, for the first time in this series in overtime, Comet Esports take a round.
And Cataclysm really, really messed up there. There wasn't a whole lot they could have done differently, but they were doing this probing thing, right? They were trying to get some info. They sent some defaulting going in towards A, towards B, towards C, just really trying to get as much of a grasp as they can. And they don't get anything. They're not finding any contact. They're not getting any kills. They don't have a lot of info. They do just decide we're going to land at C. And they send 2 players through B who are somewhat successful. Not really. It's a bit chaotic. And at the end of the day, Cataclysm just couldn't take it over that line. And the time pressure was applied a little bit too heavily upon them. And they couldn't really make up for that.
Couldn't make up for it at all. And the Sakusa and Helpzera, and actually all of CEC, just take a bunch of control of Mound. They leave a player there to continue to probe. Over on this A site, though, Muffin Man and Rezek both here, actually going to call for Grimar to move over with them. Muffin Man opts to go into tree, send out that paranoia and the guiding lights as well. The spam, good throughout all of the toxic screens, but Grimar finds a kill. Rezek with 1 as well. Poker Face starts to trade out, tries to stabilize for CEC, but Muffin Man is just too clean. Neptune with the trade. It turns things to a 2v3. Neptune and Surfer. On the other side of that wall is Grimar, who just reloaded his Vandal. He's able to take care of Surfer, and Neptune with 1 as well. 9 finishes off the round, though, and makes it 13-13. We go again.
We'll see if Cataclysm can find the flaw in their initial offensive round where they were doing a lot of that probing. They do move into the offense. Meanwhile, Comet also sort of just needs to put up the exact same performance and then go into their offense prepared for trying to switch it up a bit, because they sort of just got caught out a little bit. They didn't really make too much noise towards C, and then attempted to move around a little bit, but it's not like Cataclysm had moved at all, so they were prepared for a hit on either side, and they were able to shut down rather Comet there. So we'll see now which of these teams will be able to win on the side, keep them in the run.
We're about to find out as Neptune here in towards. Oh no!
Okay.
Neptune gets spammed out by 9. That's tragic. I mean, Surfer's gonna try and respond, but his bullets go a little wide, so it's gonna be up to Sakusa on the site to find much of anything. Bang TK does fall in the meantime, with the peek on to Rezek by Sakusa. No bullets connected. 4v4. And his time just keeps ticking. Help Zera with a kill onto 9 is gonna continue to stabilize for CEC. A push in towards this B site. Surfer dodges the paranoia. They're not gonna be checking heaven just yet. Now would be the time to do it. Pokerface in this corner. He's able to find one and drop the spike. Rezek, you're able to respond. You start moving towards that C site, but Surfer in helps Zera clean up. CEC not giving up just yet. Back to map point.
It just felt like going into that, Cataclysm had the right idea. They're able to find a good kill. Comet Esports, though, is just on top of it, able to bounce back. They know how to play around. Again, this defense just looks really solid from both teams. And Comet Esports, of course, in their element a little bit here, very much so ready to take out Cataclysm, and they do just that. So still, neither team has won an offensive round, and now it's going to have to, in this overtime, rather, and now it's going to have to be up to Comet Esports if they want to close it out here. Got to take this offensive round.
Grimar now here in towards that A site. Instead of Neptune on the other side, it's helped Zera to open up the round onto Rezek. Neptune and Sakusa each with one onto Grimar. 9 backs off. It's a 2v5. CEC getting ready to potentially bring home a map, finally. After so many rounds of it not going their way, of CG continuing to hold on and find their footing and buy their time. It could be here as Bang TK and 9 both fall. 15-13 is how map 2 ends. It took us 2 more rounds to get there, but we got there in the end. It's done.
Wow.
Lotus is finished. We're tied up 1-1.
2 overtimes back to back, and it's not even over. So Lotus, of course, now over. And I mean, you gotta. I don't even have words. Both teams had 3 players above 200 ACS, proving just how close these teams were when it came down to their comparability to one another. There's a reason it went double overtime. It's because both teams were very, very successful in their own right. It goes 6-6 on both sides going into the second half, and then 6-6 going into overtime as well. Is just an entirely balanced matchup here on Lotus, and that was Cosmic Esports pick. So both teams won their own map pick. Ascent is next. It's the last one, and that's going to be the decider. It's a pretty solid map. I think it's one of those maps that most teams have a pretty solid idea of how to play around with it. So very interested to see where that does end up heading. But for right now, I mean, I'm still just in disbelief by how even these teams have been, and to take it to a double overtime the way that it happened is just insane.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been insane. We're gonna cut it to a quick break, but before we go to that, just gonna let you all know our map 3, our banger final map, will be Ascent. So we're gonna cut to a quick break, and then we'll be back and we'll see you. Don't miss it. It's gonna be map 3, and it's gonna go hard.
cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. Cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. No relation. We got no relation. No relation. It's crazy. And it goes like you could save me.
Those medical pills are pushing me over. I kill my fill 3 times a day. These ethanol fumes won't make me sober. One flame to take the pain away. I caught you lighting matches in the back room. Haters look mad when they pass you. Let's talk about around when it's past due. Reach a glass, do no. You don't gotta fight alone. You don't gotta fight alone. Don't be so personal. Everyone's seen death in their dreams, but we still wake up and go to sleep. Everyone's seen death in their dreams, but we still wake up from our sleep. I'll be home soon. You don't gotta fight alone. You don't gotta fight alone. You don't gotta fight alone. Don't be so personal. Take me out of the road. I'm going under. Take me out of the road. I'm going under. Who do you rely on now? I know the worst. I know the worst. Who can you call on?
Welcome back. Here we are. Comet Esports Club, Cataclysm Gaming, 1-1 in this series so far. Both maps going into overtime. Map 2 barely closed out by Comet Esports. And now we're here on map 3 of Ascent. We went from the brand new Lotus, the new revised, the changed Lotus, to the El Clasico of Valorant.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those maps that's been in the running for a very long time, and I think there's just a reason for that. It's just a fun map. It's a fun map to watch. It's a fun map to play on. It's just one of those maps people can have a good time on. And yesterday we saw Ascent come out, and everybody sort of just went for their default picks. Actually, I don't know if we did see Ascent come out. I might be going insane, but I think we did. We just saw everyone go for the regular meta picks. And it is interesting though that we already see a little bit of a difference over on the side of Cataclysm, right? We see that Astra. You don't typically see Astra. Um, but obviously pretty interchangeable with Omen. Not the biggest change, although I do still think Omen might be a little bit better on Ascent, but that's just me. Over on the other side, you do see CEC going for a Cypher and a double controller composition and a Sky. Very, very different from what you generally see, just because the composition we have on the left, for example, just allows for so much, right? You've got Sova as your purely recon initiator. That's what Sova is, an entirely recon initiator. All of the util is reconnaissance, other than the shock dart, right? This is a character that's meant to find info, and you do that usually in B garage. You hold an Odin, you go ahead and send the recon dart over, and then you spray through. Right, it's a pretty classic setup. But over on the other side, running double controller is interesting, just simply because you're missing out on that double initiator util, where you don't have an aggressive initiator like KO. Instead, you're leaving it with a Sky. Now, Sky's a pretty balanced initiator. If you're only gonna have one initiator, it makes sense. But I also think that, to sacrifice double initiator for double controller on Ascent isn't totally necessary. This is already a defense-sided map, and that's without going double controller. Now that you are double controller, that lends your hand a little bit more towards that defense, but that's not necessarily necessary. So it's going to be interesting for sure, especially also to choose Cypher.
I mean, I'm a fan of this already because we get to see Viper on Ascent. I've been a champion of Viper on Ascent since before Viper Harbor was even a thing. I so believe in Viper being viable on this map. We're gonna see what CEC have cooked up for this, as we immediately see some B main aggression from them, or just some B main contention, and A main aggression by Cataclysm. Look at how deep these players are. 9 all the way back towards top mid and Catwalk. On the other side of things, for Comet, they are they're running it in immediately. Muffin Man has to back up to the site alongside Grimmar. There's a Paranoia out. But Muffin Man, how much can you find? The answer is one with Grimmar, with a shot from the Ghost as well.
God.
Muffin Man able to find 2. Rezek with one of his own. 9 cleans it all up. My goodness. A flawless pistol.
I suppose a bit of a lengthier pause in between maps is enough for Cataclysm to just completely dominate the pistol. But yeah, very, very quick. I think it was interesting just the way that Comet Esports approached it, going a bit slower through Garage, and they just weren't able to find contact. At the end of the day, if you can't get kills, it's not gonna enable you to do super well when you're trying to entry onto the site, and you're already moving through the choke point that is Garage, which of course is why this map can be defense side.
Well, we're coming into this anti-eco, and we actually see a lot more passive play from Comet Esports, as they have opted to stay, a bit passive towards that A main, maybe recognize that they were a bit aggressive towards A main, and now as that rotation to B comes in, Grimmar immediately cuts it off, helps Zera falls, and, there's no one on this B site, so if Comet does run in, they could potentially find something, but instead, 9 able to just find something, get something into this round, but 3-4. Comet Esports, you've really kind of done the impossible and get a kill in this round, but we kind of felt like CG would have this under control, right?
30 seconds left.
Yeah, I mean, this is and they sort of do at this point, right? You see Comet Esports just trying to figure out how do they approach this.
Oh, bang. Oh. If you don't get cleared here... Oh, no, the blind! Rezek's able to find 2, but BangTK got blinded up.
Flash.
Thankfully, Rezek's able to clean it up and get 3 on the round, but that was scary for a second.
Yeah, that was definitely something. Cataclysm, fortunately for them, able to walk away with the win. They do lose the majority of their players, though, so it's not the best going into this bonus. Might have to expend a little. I do want to highlight 9, who I believe was on Cypher before, is now on Jet, and Grimmar is now on Sova. So there's an interesting swap up of players. So we'll see which duelist is going to prevail here for Cataclysm, as this fight is going to happen over near A.
Oh my goodness, 9. The dash in immediately. You're able to take care of Sakusa. Poker Face. Gonna be alongside Help Zera to try and respond, and they do just that. BangTK taken out of this round. Surfer. Oh. Ooh, 9 on the overextension. Doesn't clear Surfer in that little cubby area. So Rezek's here, gonna try and potentially hold off. But in a 3v4, the numbers to overwhelm are certainly there for CEC. Grimmar alone on the A site, wrapping around Generator. Neptune doesn't clear him. Things could get scary here. Rezek now back on the site. Spray for 2. Can it be a third? Not just yet. Help Zera trying to play around in towards A main. Does get pinged by an Owl drone, and Rezek with the headshot. Just too clean. 3-0. 3 kills on the round for Rezek. It's all looking good.
Beautiful shutdown. Cataclysm 3 in a row. That's the first time we've seen it today, I believe, from one of the teams. So no traditional round structure going to play out this time around, which doesn't mean now that Comet Esports is going to have to take an eco. And that was honestly a round I didn't expect Cataclysm to win, because they went into it off of losing quite a few of their players on their anti-eco. So they didn't have the best guns going into this for their bonus. And yet they get out with a win. And now they're going to have a pretty massive gun advantage moving forward into this round.
We will see indeed, as 9 gonna try and dash in with that Judge. Try and get as much done. Poker Face, though, still here with the classic. Can't get the shots. So 9 with that Judge, gonna find it. 2 players in towards Tree. BangTK is one of them. The other one's Rezek. Rezek falls to the Sheriff shot of Sakusa. But BangTK just gonna fall away with that classic right click. Live to see the rest of this round out. Sakusa alongside his teammate of Surfer, still alive, still trying to get as much done as possible. This A site completely open for the taking here. But look at all these players in towards tree. Surfer still has to cross this, doesn't he?
It's gonna be tough. I mean, you got a shotgun watching you to judge. Actually, looks like Server might want
Last
to
player
test
standing.
in a little bit.
Oh. Just can't get done. The shock darts are good onto Sakusa. Bang TK with the shot onto Surfer. Makes it 4-0 now for Cataclysm. I mean, this is a complete night and day difference from what we saw on map 1 and map 2.
Yeah, Cataclysm is definitely seemingly in their element a little bit here. Yeah, doing much better to start this off. It almost makes you wonder why they picked Split over Ascent for their map pick. But regardless, they do have the opportunity to play on it now, and they look very, very cohesive. Again, obviously, we've only seen rounds where they had a bit of a gun differences, right? So now that we're on a full buy from both sides, it'll be interesting to see the way that both of these teams approach this round.
And now 9's on an op. So, I mean, things are going to look real scary for them coming into this round as CEC, you don't want to step into that op, surely. But,
This
I mean,
this is going to be a bit interesting because time is starting to tick down. You can tell that Comet Esports wants to be very collective in their push. You've got so much lurking happening. You had a few players, maybe looking at mid a little bit. You've got this player in Poker Face lurking, of course, the classic Viper shot, lurking in towards B lobby.
oh, the timing for 9 just barely misses those players peeking in towards that arch area. Surfer and Sakusa could get caught out here on the fade of that smoke. It's Rezek off the peak, and the
my
smoke
God.
fades. It's 3!
Seconds left.
Oh my goodness! Neptune in a main. I mean, if you want to recover this 2v5, I mean, that's catastrophic for Comet Esports.
What amazing
seconds
timing
left.
for Rezek there. I mean, that didn't even really need to be backed up by a flash. It was just the perfect moment all lined up like that. That's going to mean 5-0, and I talked about how it's going to be interesting seeing both teams on a full buy. And it almost looked like Comet Esports didn't know super well how they wanted to approach the round. They tested in a little bit towards A, the beginning, making a little bit of noise. They had that lurker over towards B, but they spent so much time the first, down to a minute in the round, really just, maybe we'll go A, maybe we won't, not super sure. And then they decide to back out, moving in towards mid. At this point, time's starting to tick down. They really do need to start to commit. They are sort of pressured in towards that A site down catwalk, and I mean it just gets completely shut down. So it does seem as though Comet Esports doesn't have the best idea about how to approach the beginnings of these rounds. Obviously now they're gonna have to do a bit of an awkward force buy. You see there, one of them having a Spectre instead of a good rifle, and I do think that there's definitely this this interesting situation where Comet Esports is in a struggling position, which we haven't seen from them before. So I'm definitely going to be interested to see how they decide to change it up off of this timeout, especially going into a round that they really desperately want to win. Because if they don't win this, they give that 6th round to Cataclysm. Not only do they give that 6th round to Cataclysm, but then they have to take an eco following it, which allows Cataclysm to even further grow their lead and possibly take the lead at the minimum of 7 rounds going into the next half. So they really need this round.
Well, we're about to find out if they can get this so needed round. As 9 back on this operator in mid. Neptune's rotating over to try and help Sakusa into this fight. The guiding light is good. Flashes 9 off this angle. He has to back up all the way to market for now, as these players are going to start to develop the map a bit more on the side of CEC. Rezek thought for maybe a second a peek in towards mid would be good. Instead, Bang TK peeking out heaven. Thought it'd be a good idea to just clear that. Neptune blows his head right off. Grimar is going to respond in towards B, turn things back to a 4v4 map wide, but as this A-site hit starts to come in, Helpzera leaves the spike down. It's actually going to be a from the shadows to collect it by Surfer. And 9 gonna try and rotate in to help the team, but with this operator in a 4v4 retake, it's definitely going to be a bit scary.
Manual theft does so much in preventing Cataclysm from setting up here. They don't have flanks coming through. They are sort of caught in going through Heaven and Tree, so we'll see how much success they can find.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Neptune able to take care of Rezek for free, but Grimar on the trade, he's good for it. Muffin Man now with this operator does get spammed out by Surfer just through the corner. Sakusa though on the site takes care of 2 and helps Zera able to find 1. CEC, what a way to find your first.
Yeah, even though it was a bit chaotic, Comet Esports does manage to push ahead. And again, I talked about how pivotal that round was, and they did win it. So now guns can be in all of their hands. Their eco is starting to look a little bit better. It's not completely stable yet, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. And Cataclysm Gaming now gonna have to figure out, okay, what did we do wrong in that situation? I think the biggest factor is there's a choke point in that A main entrance, but they couldn't take advantage of that because they'd given up the site. Spike was down, and they were having to retake from that tree entrance. And that in and of itself is a choke point that it's in Comet Esports is ready for.
So speaking of Comet Esports being ready, Blade storms out, dashes onto the site for Sakusa. That door is going to get closed in Market. The Owl Drone is here. It got blinded up, though. Sakusa falls eventually to a Nano Swarm by Muffin Man. Hunter's Fury is out now, trying to tag up as many players as possible as this site hit is coming through. 9 with the op, able to take out Poker Face, and now Muffin Man going in through Defender Spawn is able to not find anything as Hypezera and Surfer combine for 3, turn things back into a 2v2. 2 players remaining for CG. Both of them in towards Market. Grim R trying to send out a shock dart, but Surfer with the spray transfer! Oh my goodness!
I mean, I think that was a classic case of a little bit of overconfidence in Cataclysm Gaming, right? As that push onto the site had started happening, they got kills. Cataclysm Gaming got a few kills, and they looked up, they saw that they had the player advantage, so then they started to push in a little bit carelessly even, and they did get shut down. It ends up in that 2v2, and then all it takes is a bit of a misplay in the fact that you get 1v2'd and not quite able to out aim one player, and that's exactly what happened. So Cataclysm Gaming does fall. There's still quite a big lead, but they are starting to dwindle a little bit in the mid round.
On that toxic orb, it's gonna provide so much in the ways of this mid control. Sakusa, oh my goodness, Sakusa, you're able to find Grimar, but what is that shot from 9 onto Helpzera? My goodness. .4v4. Now is Rezek here in towards trees, gonna pop flash himself and a teammate out. He's able to find 1, but Surfer on the trade. Make sure that Surfer can't build too much into this, or Rezek can't build too much into this. There's the from the shadows on towards that A site. 9. You're the closest one here, realistically. As more utility gets used, as this A site hit comes in and bodies start flooding out, that tree door gets closed. It's gonna be a 3-on-3 retake.
Spike planted.
Door getting broken. 9 still here. With this operator, he's going to try and retake. He has to be the tip of the spear in this case. Opshot goes a little wide. Neptune still holding this Market door even to this day. 9 peeks out. Does get head taken clean off by Neptune. Pokerface and Surfer each with 1. It's a flawless after those first 2 kills. 3 rounds for CEC and 3 alive on that round.
Yeah, that actually went really, really well. So much went right for Comet Esports that they may not have even thought about, in that their Omen had the spike pushing down Catwalk, right? And the players over on Cataclysm knew there was a player there. They knew it was probably that Omen, and then the TP comes through from the shadows, and they're going to assume that it's over on B because they've got this player on Catwalk. They don't know that they have the spike. They're just sort of assuming that they're joining the rest of their team over on B, because why else would you use a TP if you don't have the spike when you're, you know, on catwalk? Like, why would you do that if you're going to A unless you had the spike? But they didn't think that they had the spike, and so they assumed it was over towards B, started rotating in that direction. Then they heard the util being pushed out, and that just allowed that plant to go down so easily. Cataclysm Gaming once again found themselves in a retake on A, which it just seems as though they struggled to figure out what to do in those cases. So this lead that they have is starting to dwindle, right? You're starting to see this evening out, and I feel like we've seen that a lot in the series already. Is sort of one team will start to really inch ahead, and then their opponent will just suddenly find their stride, get back into it. And for Cataclysm, they do need to put a stop to that if they want to go into the next half with the lead.
Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Because it was 5 rounds in a row for Cataclysm, and now they've lost the last 3, and now, you know, no op available. Sakusa is on an op of his own on the attack side. And, oh, okay, Poker Face. Gonna get caught out by that drone. I guess you'd rather it be him than Sakusa with that op, still waiting for any sort of B main aggression. But as 3 players on the side of CEC are over towards this A side, it does feel like that's where they want to end this round.
Shadows traveling.
There's that lurk over towards Garage. That's where they're gonna head.
Oh, hold on. A kill from Pokerface onto Grimmar. 9 with this shorty. It could be huge if he dashes correctly. Pokerface still not looking. There's the dash, but the shots are just too clean for Pokerface. He's not going to get caught off that easy. That B site is completely open, and that's going to draw those players on the attacking side over. Viper's Pit in towards Defender Spawn means that the only real way for CG to retake here is through Market. And look at the rotations. I mean, you have this lurk all the way. Sakusa still is able to hold off Rezek in the meantime. The shots from Bang are just too good. Surfer on that flank finally comes alive. Muffin Man taken out. Bang TK now, 1v4. I mean, you just save here, right? Like, there's no way you go for this.
Yeah, this is definitely, or try and find exits, and not going to be able to do that, so... Cataclysm Gaming loses yet another, and Comet Esports finds themselves 1 round away from tying it up and getting back in this. And I think that was a round where Comet Esports did everything right? They have their Viper lurking, classic. The rest of the team pushing in towards A, making quite a bit of noise, trying to find some contact, backs out, rotates over towards B. And although Cataclysm was a little bit more ready for that than usual, they are not prepared to defend against it. And they did get baited out just enough that it allows this flooding into B site to be successful. So Cataclysm just barely getting caught out, getting baited out to protect one of the sites that's really just not needed for protection in a few pivotal rounds. That has resulted them being what am I saying? This has resulted in them being in this position where they're now 1 round away from being tied up.
They're 1 round away from being tied up. And now, Muffin Man just trying to jiggle towards this B site. You don't want to lose this 5-0 lead that you had at the start of this game. Pokerface is here, though. He's going to try and continue to pressure this B site, keep 2 of these players here, leave mid so weak so that way they can pounce on it and do this B split. I mean... That's a good shock dart from Grimmar, good chip damage, but it's helped Zera already running into the site with a dash from his teammate Sakusa. Oh my goodness. Pokerface getting spammed around, has to play Dance Dance Revolution over by Lane. Muffin Man on the site is good for 1.
Oh.
Make it 2, despite the fact that he's flashed up. Now it's 3. Can it be 4? Yes,
my
it
God.
is. He's on for the ace. Can he do it? Do you know the Muffin Man? I don't know. I know Surfer, though. He's got 1. Can it be 2? No, it can't. Rezek able to close out this round and make sure he finds a 6th for Cataclysm.
Cataclysm is over that line now. It's impossible for their opponent to go into the second half with the advantage. I mean, it's an unbelievable way to do it as well. It just seemed like a classic Cataclysm, or not Cataclysm, Comet Esports, you know, sort of just slowly, methodically playing But those defenders of the site doing an amazing job. I mean, when you've got a Killjoy getting 4 kills and just taking your team through the round, preventing that site take, I mean, you're gonna get over the line. So we'll see if more hero plays like that are going to be needed, or if Cataclysm will be able to do it, the whole team.
Oh my goodness, Bang TK with the Spectre, and you find 2 like that? That's never supposed to happen. But now here we are. It's a 3v5 or 3v4 for Comet Esports, as now Pokerface peeking in towards that B site does see Muffin Man on the jiggle. He has to back away from that angle for now. But with that Neural Theft, they know where these players are, and they know that this B site is the weak site. And now that Pokerface is on the B site, CEC, it feels like you've got practically a free plant.
Toxins going up.
Oh, Muffin Man. Oh my goodness, he's good for it. He always has been. Pokerface does get taken out. Sakusa, you're going to be able to plant on that site. The Nanoswarm just misses a tiny bit, but in a 2v4 with the retake ever impending, it's going to require some major heroics. Sakusa isn't able to be the one to step up, so it's all up to Neptune, the swing. He's good for 1, he's good for 2, but Rezek run and gun sprays down, so Neptune falls. And Grimar gets the defuse.
7-4 means the lead going into the second half is in the hands of Cataclysm. Now, Descent 7-5 is what I consider a balanced half. So I think Cataclysm has met their end of the deal. The question is, can they make it an 8-4 lead, which is, again, not an impossible comeback, but it's definitely going to be a little bit more difficult if it does come to that for Comet Esports. So they really should be pushing for this last round and figuring out what have they been doing poorly. I do think there's just been some really nice individual plays from Cataclysm. They're really pushing 4 plays in those entrances into the sites, right? They're trying to deny that early noise making that has baited them out so many times. They just want to find kills quickly to really shut down any early info given to Comet Esports.
We're about to see what Comet Esports can do from here. Sakusa does get a little bit of a team flash there, so he can't really make a big play off of that. Grimar, though, with that Owl Drone, is going to find a lot. The spam just going to try and pepper some bullets here and there, and it does get a little bit of chip damage onto some of these players. Muffin Man now here towards the defender spawn area alongside some of his teammates. Sakusa clearing out that site, says, hey guys, site's clear, let's plant. Oh my goodness, Bang TK able to find Pokerface in the meantime, and as that null command gets ripped on this retake, Surfer is going to be sitting here in this corner of stairs. He's going to try and get the swing onto Rezek. He's able to find that, but 9 immediately trades. Sakusa to respond. Neptune, Muffin Man, Bang TK. Kills go every which way. It's now just Hypezera in a 1v3. He can't do it. Muffin Man gets it done. 8-4 at the half.
Area's clear.
My goodness, what a way to end it.
And now it's going to be a little bit more of a difficult climb for Comet Esports coming into the second half. If they really want to make it work, they need this pistol. If Cataclysm gets this pistol, it's going to be very difficult for Comet Esports to surmount this battle. So for Comet Esports, this is the round, right? Now they're on this defense. They have the advantage. And I want to highlight, like, Cataclysm towards the end there of that half, they really started to get good at understanding A site is a really hard site to retake. So let's just play aggressively in main and make sure that Spike doesn't go down there. And then over on B, we'll play a bit more passive because it's a bit easier to retake on. That's sort of the strategy they started to employ. So we'll see if Comet Esports is going to try that same thing, or if they've got something else up their sleeve. Looks like this round, though, they're just going to try and play a bit aggressive towards B Garage.
Well, we're about to find out. We are on the 6th and final pistol round of this series. 9. Pondering his orb back and forth, using that ghost, getting ready. Muffin Man about to get pinched here in B lobby. He's able to find Sakusa nonetheless, turn things into a 4v4. This A site, again, completely open. This Cypher left it ready to be retaken. And Grimar, ready to get that plant down, start developing that Hunter's Fury. Well, taps the spike first. Oh my goodness, Guiding Light blinds 3 plus a drone. Grimar able to maybe tag one with it. Nope. It's Pokerface for 3 kills in this round so far. 2v4 on this retake. Spike yet to be planted. Surfer on the site. Able to find the kills. And there you go. You said they needed the pistol round. Well, they got it.
Yeah, that's massive for them, right? Because now they can move towards this anti-eco. They've got some good guns to work with. And unlike if it was 7-5, right, this isn't going to immediately tie it up for them if they win this anti-eco. But what it does do is it gives them that base to work off of, right? 6-8 is much more winnable looking than 4-8. So, and it also shows that they have an understanding of this defense. Now, obviously, that round's a bit more chaotic than most typically are, but regardless, it's still going to be a pretty solid fight. And we'll see if Comet Esports can carry it through with an anti-eco win. They should be able to.
Help Zera. I mean, if you want to take this anti-eco, I feel like it has to be off the back of him. Just if this A site is going to be committed to. If not, and you want to look towards mid, it's going to be off the back of Surfer. Sakusa starts us off, though, with a kill into Grimar in towards main. Rezek picking up that frenzy. Does get a dink. So things starting to look a little scary. Surfer has to fall away from that angling catwalk for now. Rezek goes peeking in, helps Zera, gets that kill. Surfer peeks out towards tree, able to get a bunch more damage onto Bang TK. 9 has to run away, but he can't in time. Surfer still swinging, still trying to do as much as possible. ADHD brain going in with that stinger. Still another headshot onto Bang TK, this time Muffin Man now. We've seen him do insane things, but in this situation, it can't come through. A flawless anti-eco for 6 rounds for CEC.
And that's how you want to start it, too. It's flawless. You get all of your guns moving into this bonus. You see even Sakusa's on 4,000 credits, right, coming into this, which means next round they'll be able to get an operator. They're definitely moving in a positive direction. Cataclysm Gaming needs to win this, or else they're going to find themselves on the end that they were on, or on the other end than they were on in the first half, where they're looking at a pretty massive win streak they're going to have to succumb. So they really, really want to win this. And honestly, they've shown some promise. They might be able to. We'll see how they approach each round.
See what they're able to do here, as again, we see some deep A-main aggression. You can see one of those players probing. Sakusa falls to the hands of Grimar. 9, though, in the meantime, does immediately dash out onto the site. Neptune still here on this B site alongside Pokerface. Both of these players holding a really interesting high-low towards the back of the site. Pokerface able to find one. A flying 9 goes down to the hands of Neptune. Neptune quick swaps to the Vandal to find 3. And I mean, at this point, Grimar, 21 HP, a dream. You do have a Vandal, but with Surfer on the Marshal... Oh, hold on. Never mind. Now just a 2v1. But with HP so low, Spike dropped in the middle of lane. So much still to do, and 40 seconds left on the clock. And now they know where you are too, so they can double up on any angle they please. It's a monumental task. And if it goes poorly, then you're rewarding Comet Esports with a bonus round.
And that was that
30 seconds left.
that thing I said they wanted to avoid, was being on the opposite side of that win streak that they had been on in the first half.
Bodies laid all across that B site. The Owl Drone pinging out so many, but Neptune dodges that second Hunter's Fury shot. So now, with Grimar just trying to run in, Pokerface takes him out cleanly, and that's a bonus round 1 for CEC.
And that's huge for them. Cataclysm now gonna have to take this eco. And Cataclysm, I think they had a good idea there, right? Like, I think Grimar did a good job. They found that kill near a main, that aggressive play out into a lobby. I think Grimar did a beautiful job preparing for that. It's just that execution onto the B site was not there, right? They had that player advantage, and they just couldn't really do anything with it. They aggressively push in towards that B site. It's not like Comet Esports was expecting an A hit off of finding that kill, because Cataclysm Gaming was so far back in their spawn that they weren't necessarily expecting that to be coming. They were ready to defend that B site.
Yeah, and now that we're on an eco, I mean, any kills would be nice, but we'll see what happens. And chances are it's just going to be, you know, Surfer doing his thing. I mean, oh, hold on. Bang TK and 9 each find one. Grimar with one as well, because the spray isn't good for Surfer. This is a 4v2. And guns have gone the way of CG. Is this really a thrift? Is that what we're about to see? A thrifty round out of CG?
Appears might be that way. In a round you would not typically expect it. The execution on the A site went very, very well for them.
It Really did, and now it's going to be off the back of Neptune if they want to find this. He's already out onto the site. Shots going every which way. 9, able to find one. Poker Face as well after the trade from Grimmar is good. Is he able to find Muffin Man? Yes, he is. It's a 1v1. Bang TK, nothing but a classic. But the time just isn't there. Poker Face has to save. It's a thrifty out for CG. What a way to win it.
9-7. I mean, you know, I think one thing that Cataclysm had been really struggling to do was to just get on the site and get that spike down. And they finally are able to plant it, and that's all they needed. Once they can get in that post-plant position, they're in a pretty good spot, and they're able to take it over. So that's a pretty good way to do it. They're not going to get any guns out of it, which is sort of the benefit of a thrifty sometimes, right? You get to pick up guns, you get to move with them into the next round. They didn't get any of that. They did all die. But they do end up getting a little bit of that eco boost. They're getting themselves ever so closer to evening it out. So Cataclysm is definitely looking like they might be able to start to tie it up.
Oh my goodness, Sakusa. What a shot onto Grimmar. You're going to be able to get out. I mean, barely. You were getting shot at a lot. The fact that you dodged all those bullets, you got to be in the Matrix or something. 9 and Rezek both here towards market. Cyber Cage about to drop. Rezek gets the kill onto Neptune. Sakusa has to back up, move over to that B site. The Viper's Pit still out by Pokerface towards this B site. Gonna block off this lane area from really being taken. Sakusa about to get run down though. He has to run away. Rezek and Bang TK both find one. Turns this into a 2v4. Bang TK now looking towards Tree. He's able to take out Helpzera, and they know that this Viper's Pit is still online at B, so they move over to A and they plant this spike. It's Pokerface in another clutch. This time a 1v4.
I mean, Cataclysm just doing everything right here, right? Reading the situation off of finding so much contact, understanding, you know what? Let's go A. We know that there's a player on B. I mean, and getting those kills initially, right? There is a level of planning that has to go into that, and I think Cataclysm did everything right every step of the way to get there, as far as knowing what to clear out, their util usage on par with what needed to be done. It's just looking like Cataclysm has started to clean it up a little bit. They're not making those small mistakes like going to the wrong site, not being successful in their pushes, because they're not just pushing directly onto a site through those main entrances, instead choosing to wrap around through mid and go through tree or try and go through mid towards market, right? They're going through these places, really attempting to find as much contact as possible. And they're doing it successfully.
Yeah, and now that's double digits for Cataclysm, sorry. And that timeout is coming off the back of CEC losing these last 2 rounds in a row just due to the bomb getting planted in such an advantageous situation, right? Like, what if you're CG? Like, what do you need to do to like continue this momentum going?
I think it really just needs to be continuing to stay one step ahead of your opponent, right? They've been doing a really good job of taking advantage of some of those other places, right? I mean, catching your opponent off guard, reading where your opponent is. And in that previous round, they did a really good job of pushing through mid and finding contact off of that. And I think that's the case, right? I think one thing neither of these teams has really done so far up until this point was testing a little bit into mid and also pushing through the main entrance. We saw Comet Esports do it a little bit, but I think Cataclysm now needs to start doing it a little bit of their own, trying to test a little bit through mid and also through those main entrances, finding a little bit more early round info before committing to a site. I think that's something they've been doing good at, and I think that's something they need to continue to do. I think for Comet Esports, they do need to really figure out how to shut down and deny that, how to take better control of mid, not give it up. Obviously, their eco is starting to dwindle a little bit. They're able to get a buy going, and this round it looks like they're just deciding to full stack over near A, get ready for a defensive A, and it is looking like it's a good read.
Yeah, that's a really strong read. I mean, the only weak part of this buy is Surfer on the Stinger, but when you're playing such a closed position like Tree, I don't think it particularly matters. But for Cataclysm, if you're able to get this, then surely any momentum that CEC could really build into here, or any that they would have remaining, would kind of just be gone. We'll see what they're able to do. That Cosmic Divide out immediately. I mean, the spray's good for Helpzera, though. Actually make it for 2, and Surfer pushing through as well. Oh my goodness, we talked about CG being one step ahead of their opponents, but it seems that CEC did their homework just a little bit better. A flawless round to give them their 8th.
so much went right there for Comet Esports. First and foremost, they stacked that A site. They were prepared for an A hit. And then that Cosmic Divide really helped them just to have something that they could easily sort of combat their opponents on. It's not like that Cosmic Divide allowed Cataclysm to get the spike down or anything like that. It was purely to allow them to start pushing through to the site. But it wasn't very helpful to them. It sort of just disabled their ability to push through. So Cataclysm definitely getting completely denied in their attempt to get some momentum moving. So again, misplay there, not really testing in towards that mid like I've been talking about, and overall just not the most methodical approach, hoping that the ult would carry them through, and they were sorely disappointed.
You sure were. And now here we are, round 19. Help Zera. Gonna have to try and be the one to potentially take this contact in towards tree. If CG decided to go that way, instead, they opt for this approach in towards mid and towards market. As all of this utility is going to get cleared out. 9, updraft, dash into their own cloudburst. Pokerface is going to have to back up. Go straight into Boathouse into the back of the site. Neptune does just barely dodge a volley of bullets on towards the site. Rezek's able to find one, but Pokerface in the back of the site is able to respond. Pokerface still there, being a nuisance in the back of the site. Grimar breaks that market door. A lockdown by the attackers to try and force players off of this bomb site. Bang TK is still here, though, at the front of it all. Pokerface throwing up that toxic screen just to try and get out. He's able to find one, but Grimar with the response turns things into a 2v3. No one's been detained on the side of CEC off the back of that lockdown, though. So as Cataclysm goes to plant this bomb, they could be ready off the rip to try and retake. You see Surfer headed towards lane. And Help Zera still just trying to work things in through stairs. Surfer just continuing to try and play, to try and fight here. Help Zera goes down. 1v3 for Surfer. He's already here. Might as well take a stab at it. But with Grimar so close, you do get taken down. CG up to 11. And, I mean, where do you go for CEC?
I think Cataclysm correctly identified the weak point, which is that mid through market. And so I think Comet Esports does need to do a better job of defending it. They're sort of leaning super A heavy a lot of these times, and you know, sometimes they've got more in that B site, but a lot of the times they're not banking on a B hit or even a push through mid. I think Cataclysm was able to correctly identify that, and you see Comet Esports once again sort of leaning more towards this A site, hoping they're going to get a good read, and looks like maybe they're going to be mistaken in that.
Well, we'll see. As now, Surfer just trading some shots in towards mid, opts to back up, leave the job to someone else, more specifically Help Zera. So as CG go probing in towards tree here, Help Zera, you're going to be put to the test here. For a job that's normally on Surfer or Bang TK, it's now on you. You opt to just run away off the back of so much utility. A bunch of different ults all being used. Sakusa here in A main gets swung by Bang TK. He does fall. Help Zera is able to find Grimar in the meantime, but oh my goodness, the flick from Rezek is good. Bang TK and Surfer and Pokerface all able to trade out. Makes things a 2v2. Muffin Man on this backstab through mid could be huge if he's able to find Pokerface. In the meantime, Neptune here towards that A heaven area. Pokerface still here. Does he get cleared? Yes, he does by Muffin Man. Neptune, a 1v2 clutch required of the Cypher on Ascent to bring CEC a 9th round. He's able to find the first. Is he able to find the second? 8 bullets. Oh. Yes, he is. A 1v2 clutch for Neptune to bring CEC up to 9.
And it just seems as though it's going to start this sort of back and forth where Cataclysm figures out the weak point, understands where to go, and then Comet Esports cleans it up a little bit, figures out how to approach each round and make some noise. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is just this sort of weird back and forth where the teams need a round to figure out what their opponent's going to do in order to respond into the next round. This isn't the best for Comet Esports. Obviously, if a back and forth does continue, they will lose the map. So they do need to get on top of this and be able to win consistently, which, as a matter of fact, this Kusa has a Guardian. You can definitely tell that their eco is not there to help support that.
Not at all. 9 on a Blade Storm, though, so tight economics both ways CG looking to just try and sneak a map point over the line here. Bang TK playing passively towards A main as two players from CEC have pushed up so heavily. Again, you identified this market as being a very weak point in the map, and the defense help Zera just trying to further defend Tree, really try and sell that, you know, we have A under control. Sakusa goes window shopping though, and Bang TK takes his head off. That's not the way you want to start this if you're CEC.
Especially considering the low buy that Cataclysm has found themselves on. It's pivotal for either of these teams, for especially their eco, to get this momentum moving. Neither of these teams are on the best eco going
30
into this
seconds
round.
left.
Oh, there it is. It's a wrap in towards heaven. Grimmar able to, use effectively his jet as bait. Help Zera in towards A main. Able to try and start to stabilize potentially. A guiding light doesn't find anything. Help Zera is now going to start jiggling his way onto the side as two players from CEC are now going to push in towards heaven. Help Zera does take out 9. It evens out the numbers. Makes it 3v3 all. Grimmar, though, immediately with a shot back. It means potential disaster. Neptune with a kill onto Rezek, but the backstab from Muffin Man is good for 1, and the spam by Grimmar is good for the second. CG, for the first time, find 12 first.
Yeah, Cataclysm was in a really good spot there. Comet Esports simply thought they were one step ahead, right? You've got this player in main, you've got these players coming from heaven to help in that retake, right? You've got this pinch, you're applying a lot of pressure, and they started to make some of that move. They just weren't aware of where Muffin Man was coming for the flank, coming through heaven, and they do get punished for that. And so Cataclysm again continues this back and forth. Now they're on match point. It's gonna have to be a 3-round win streak for Comet Esports. We've seen Cataclysm make this happen before. Can we see this come the other way for Comet Esports?
You know how they say, like, let him cook? Do you think for Muffin Man it's let him bake? Bang TK and oh my god! We said Muffin Man let him bake. It's actually Grimmar who needs to be baking. He's got 2 so far, 9 with one of his own, and Poker Face gets taken down at the end. It's a swift 13th round for 13-9 on map 3. CG take it 2-1.
And after a long, lengthy fight, it's finally over, and Cataclysm can say that they come out victorious. I mean,
What a round. What a series.
back to back to back. I mean, it's just impressive. Truly, it's very impressive to see just sort of back to back overtimes. Very long, very hard fought. Every team super even with one another, and then you end up going over towards that final round, final map. It all comes down to it, and you're starting to see that culmination towards the end. It's back and forth, back and forth. Both teams sort of exactly where they want to be, and it's just so interesting to see. It's such a fun day to watch, and clearly these are two teams that are very well matched. And I thought yesterday I was watching two teams that were very well matched. It's just always within this tournament, teams of very equal and high skill levels.
Yeah, it's very, very incredible that we got this banger of a series to kind of round out week 1 of the Titans of Tier 3 League, right? Like, this is it. This was the last series of week 1, and 3 maps. The first 2 maps were both in overtime, and then this one went 20 plus rounds. It was kills every which way. 20 plus kills on like every player throughout all 3 maps. Like, it was insane.
Yeah, truly a spectacle to watch. I don't know if I've ever seen a closer game that I've had the pleasure of casting. So very much so an exciting one for sure. I do believe we have a player interview very shortly, potentially. So we'll see. Waiting on that one, but right now, I mean, I'm truly in shock, right? I mean, Cataclysm is one of those teams I've sort of had my eye on for a little bit in the scene, right? I've seen them in the Knights Monthly Gauntlet. They were trying to get into the Mr. Funhaver, and they had a little bit of success in one of the qualifiers, but that sort of thing where they're definitely on the verge of tier 2, and clearly Comet Esports should see themselves on that level as well, because they are very much so putting up a solid fight. against this opponent. So yeah, for right now though, that's been an exciting matchup.
Yeah, and we do have a player interview lined up, so we're going to jump to a very quick break, and we will be right back after this with our player interview with one of the CG players. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Titans of Tier 3. We're here with one of our winners from Cataclysm Gaming. Congrats to the rest of them, but more specifically here for the interview. Congrats to you, Grim R. How are you doing, buddy? How are we feeling? It's a cliche, but how are you feeling after that win?
Hey, I feel good, you know. Little ups and downs throughout the games. We thought it would be a little bit more our-sided, but however, I would say Comet Esports Club, they've improved a lot since we last seen them in VLS, and shout out to them, the work that they're putting in. And we're hyped still. It's going to be a battle all season for us.
Yeah, I think it's been a pleasure absolutely to watch you perform today. And I did have one question, which is obviously map 2 was Lotus. How did you feel going into a map with the changes? Did you have time to practice from when it was introduced yesterday?
We practiced it like I think once or I want to say once. But it's still one of our go-to maps that we like and all. We mainly did shift focuses on other maps. Looking at the map design today, we're gonna cook up some more stuff coming out. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, I see you. And then one more thing just about the kind of broader context of this series, because it was 3 maps Map 1 you guys took in overtime, and then map 2 was an even closer overtime that you guys lost. So like, how do you mentally reset going into map 3 off of the back of winning map 1 in like 14-12 and then losing map 2 15-13? Like, what's the, if you can talk us through that?
I would say big thing is just telling the guys, hey, it's just a reset, new map, new game. Take a walk, get our bearings right, load in, get to work. That's the idea.
Hey man, it seemed to work today. You guys got it over the line in, spectacular fashion at the end. So congrats to you. Congrats to the rest of CG. Sleepy, do you have any last question or?
No, I mean, I think that's it from me. It was very fun. I've seen you guys every now and again. I saw the open qualifiers of Mr. Funhouse, and obviously you compete in Knights Monthly every now and again. So I've been tracking your progress a little bit, so it's been fun to be able to see you in this competition and see all the stuff you have to offer.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I'm excited.
yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you, the viewers, for watching this absolute banger of a series. That's going to be it from us here. It's going to be it from Mr. Grimar. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all this weekend for week 2 of Titans of Tier 3 Valorant League.